There we go. Now, for the people that missed it, they can get it.
Yeah.
All right. So, did you want to start?
How do you, well, so uh before we even got to Tennessee and Kentucky, it was actually pretty fantastic. So we have windstorms all the time in Victoria or Vancouver Island, BC.
Yeah.
But this windstorm, it affected the area north of us. It affected the area south of us, and right through the path of the ferry, there was no warning
At all.
whatsoever.
And the water was almost it was almost like glass,
Wow.
but it was storming all around us. So it right from the get-go, it was like we were going through some sort of initiation process where everything around us is chaos, but we're in that calm center heading through. And uh like even the flight in.
Yeah, so the other thing that happened was we were possibly going to have a delay because there was major thunderstorms going across the Midwest Halloween. The thunderstorm warning completely disappeared and it was rain.
Yeah, it was just rain.
Just open the path for you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it was.
yeah, it was so weird how that happened.
um Getting to strange realities. uh we came in the night before, but it was it was like 1 a.m. by the time we got to the hotel.
It was 12:30. We were the only people. There was like two flights in the Nashville airport, and it was so weird because the Nashville airport was like completely shut down,
Yeah.
except for one flight leaving and us coming in. So that was really strange.
So we got in. That we didn't really sleep much that whole 3 day period of the conference. It was we got there, we had 5 hours sleep. We went and did a few things, and then it was the start of the conference. And so the whole time we were kind of in that weird headspace of lack of sleep and 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 meeting a bunch of people that we knew about, but we had never met in person. It was like Tim Banal walks up, "Hey, where are you from?" Canada. Gives us a big hug, says, "Welcome to Strange Realities." And that was the impetus of the whole thing. It was like, "Hey, you're here. You're one of us."
Yeah.
And so, and before getting it all of this set up, we didn't realize that this was going to be the last one,
Yeah.
at least for a couple
Yeah, that
years.
was wild. That was like such a weird bombshell. Although, I mean, it wasn't like a secret or anything, but that was such a weird vibe to find out we got
Yeah,
there.
yeah. You just we came in and it was like, wow. We did this at the most opportune time, and the whole trip was kind of like that. Everything, like, we got to meet people that the chances of meeting them in person at another conference is not likely going to happen.
Yeah.
So for you, what sticks out most about the
I
conference?
just think it was such a beautiful vibe, and I hope we can replicate it here. Like for Victoria's weird. It's like everyone's like, "Oh, you live in one of the nicest vacation places." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it sucks to live here." We had one Comic Con and we didn't go because the the shows they did were weird that they were advertising. I remember they were doing a strip tease in Star Wars lingerie and I was like, "Why? this is weird. And so we never had another Comic-Con on the island after
after
that.
that. But they're doing more,
It's
but they're
changing
very
now.
poorly organized.
Yeah, like right now there's a lot of what do you call it? Grassroots Halloween stuff starting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of grassroots.
Well, the farm that we went to. So, what led up to Strange Realities? Sarah's birthday is October 25th.
Oh, nice.
So we started a celebration the whole month of October, ending it in us going to Strange Realities. So we went to this farm that apparently they do this every year. We've been here 12 years, 13 years, and we've never heard of it until this year.
Oh, wow.
And so they have a train that they go through, but they decorate the whole place in animatronic Halloween decorations.
And they have a giant sphinx.
They have a giant sphinx
What?
in the middle of their thing. That's there year round, but uh and they have a tunnel that goes through it and all kinds of displays.
And a
But
corn maze.
and the corn maze, of course. And so we say, okay, we're gonna go. It's supposed to rain all day, hard rain all day. We get there, the sun comes out for an hour or so, and then it starts to drizzle a little bit, but it doesn't hit that level of rain that we normally get here, which is uh deluge. It's
Hmm.
it's like raindrops that big hitting the ground usually, but this was just a light drizzle. We walked through the maze and we were thinking, okay, this is kind of like uh paying homage to the deities that we deal with. But it's the whole month was a build up to going to Strange
And
Realities.
this year, my birthday was on Feast of Mokosh too.
Yeah.
Mm.
No way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we went to this farm and like I think we showed some stuff on Facebook of it and the animatronics and whatnot, and that was perfect. And then what was it that we did? We went on a road trip.
Oh, we went beachcombing.
Yeah. And went.
And then there's this bookstore that I swear when I looked at the map, I was like, oh, it's really far from the bus, but it's just two stops over from the bus. And she carries all of the local spooky author books.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And when she heard we do preservation, she said, "Okay, I'm going to show you this and how they deal with books
She
on their
she
shelves."
taught us how to do the plastic protection over our books.
Yeah.
And but that's not normal for here. That level of care with books,
Yeah.
unless you're going to like the archives. Um, but like just I'm trying to convey the feeling. The feeling all month was like it was a slow build up to getting
To the trip.
to the trip.
Hmm.
And no matter how much we wanted other trips were not like this. This was like something was saying, okay, you have to go here at this time specifically. And it's kind of like you going on your trip where you encountered the Bigfoot sounds, and
Yeah.
it was kind of like a here you go.
Yeah. It did feel like that for me too for that one because we planned it on like a spur of the moment type of thing. And my wife, she humors me with the paranormal and the Bigfoot stuff. You know, she gets it secondhand, so she enjoys it, but she's not researching or looking into it. And for our fifth wedding anniversary, she found that cabin and she goes, "Oh, there's Bigfoot stuff there. And so we went, it kind of like, oh, it'll be fun. And yeah, it was kind of like the same thing you guys had. It there was also like a weird, did you guys have like weird, you probably did from the sound of it, like the buildup and everything was like it was meant to happen.
Yep.
Like everything worked out perfect. Like just
Yep.
boom, 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 boom. All the slots, like you said,
Yeah.
with the turnout. That's so interesting. That's so
Like
interesting.
I was so worried about customs. They're like, whatever, both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't
I
Oh,
care. Yeah, usually they're more questioning
hmm.
because we because we go to the States so often. They're like, "Why are you going?" Because they're assuming, "Oh, you're buying stuff to sell." And
Uh,
this time they were like, "Whatever."
yeah, care less.
is that a
But
big thing in Canada with
yeah,
going across customs, like buying stuff down in the United States and then reselling it up there?
yeah,
Yeah,
Not even like illegal stuff, just normal stuff.
and just normal
yeah,
stuff.
because if you
Wow.
over 72 hours, you can bring back $800 worth of goods without being taxed.
Oh, they tax you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
like normal tariff is
Hmm.
18%.
Wow.
I will say the
So
one time we went over, he was like, whatever. It was just after Christmas, and he's like, yeah, whatever. Go home.
yeah,
So,
and she had forgot a bottle of liquor and
so okay. So, the ferries, so both the US and Canada, they don't have enough customs agents, and they rush
Mhm,
us the ferry so fast. I completely forgot to declare my bottle of liquor.
mhm.
I was fine. I was in my limit, but I was like, oh God, I forgot to tell him.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
happens. But usually they're more questioning this time, not at all.
Oh, wow.
And the new scanner,
Oh,
I actually like.
the new kiosk is okay, but the first time you do it, you'll want to kill it.
You have to have your hands in a certain position, and it's like you're standing there like this, and it has to do the scan, and if your hands are down here, they say move your hands, and then you move your hands all around, and then like two or three times, and they're like, okay, but once you've done it once, you're good.
That's crazy.
But the conference was it was a really nice atmosphere. It was really
It was chill.
the craziest thing was we did this thing where what's Adam's part co-host
Sophia,
Surreal.
yeah
yeah,
Surreal
um
Steven.
he did a cut and paste of like conspiracy theories and people, and every single one I picked was from Penny Royal.
yeah. Yep. Like the whole trip, she was having synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity. And for me, I was there to support her the whole way, but I had my own experiences. Sarah had a full circle experience
Okay,
with one of the caves.
so
Oh,
um I've learned that I was a free range kid and I lived in Northwest Indiana. So like the Indiana Dunes was one place where they could like unleash us. So I spent every summer imagine the biggest sand dune you could possibly imagine. Like we used to run up those like crazy people. So I'm more adventurous than my parents. So when we went to Kentucky, we went to Hidden River Cave and I wasn't allowed to go down to the sinkhole. We didn't go on a tour. This year we went on a tour, and as we're going down the stairs, and I'm looking at this cave, I was like, "Holy shit! This is the cave that I was always bitter about because we never went on the cave tour."
oh, cool.
And so, but for us, where we follow Enki, Carnanos,
Horn
and
God.
the horn god, so to speak. Um,
The god of many
the
names.
god of many names. Uh, so going down into a cave, particularly one with water, is a pilgrimage.
Hmm.
So we get down into this cave, and she wants to tell
Okay,
this
okay,
part.
so this is what happened to me. So we go on, we just didn't want to go to the hotel early, so we said, well, we bought a tour for the morning. We went back, and the next morning we came back, and we're going down into this cave, and I realized that this is the cave. And then when we go down the stairs and cross the bridge over the water, I felt this shift. And it wasn't vertigo, it wasn't dizziness. It was like I was on a slow moving platform that like ever so slightly moved.
Hmm.
And then after that, something was following us the whole way up the thing.
I didn't know what she had felt because her and I in the lineup, she takes pictures, and so I get ahead or behind. And okay, so I'm walking along, and the hairs in the back of my neck go up, and I'm like, okay, I felt the same shift, but for me, it was a shift in what I could see, and I could see energies swirling around in this place. But apparently, this cave floods at least 5 times a year.
Oh wow.
And like, not like a little flood. I think they said 50 feet of it is it like a becomes a huge river. And
How tall is the cave inside?
the cave
It's
goes up to like
massive.
80
Oh my God.
and
That's crazy.
but because it scours out, it doesn't grow stalagmites and stalactites.
Oh, okay.
It just wipes all of that away when it floods.
Wow.
And it's the one of the few caves you can touch in
Yep.
Kentucky. So I was able to basically smear
Oh, okay.
hands with Kentucky cave dirt. It was amazing.
And it's like that clay slurry
Yeah.
that you use for when you're making ceramics.
Yeah.
It feels just like that.
So it's real fine,
Real
silty.
fine, silty, slimy, and okay, it's lit. They have lights the whole way. Uh, they literally had to take like a 20-ton, 2 20-ton beams down a
Oh
rickety
yeah. So
stairwell
they're the
into this
Holy,
place to put the new bridge in.
it's the only cave in the world that has a suspension bridge. So
what?
Yep.
there's these like tiny, tiny wet stairs, and they were able to get the truck into by the cave, but 20 men had to bring in two massive steel support beams by hand for the suspension bridge.
And like
Jeez.
when you're walking over this, uh, we're like within almost touching realm of the top of this cavern. And so what's below you is like 70 feet of open air to the
Oh,
stone.
wow.
And so you're walking along, and I'm not great on things that aren't
Oh yeah, I was the horrible person. I was the first one across the
and she was
suspension bridge. I was doing this. This is fun. So I set everyone out for disaster.
and this poor guy behind me was even worse than I am. Me, I'm okay because I'm a nut bar anyways, and anything that scares me, I run towards it. But the guy behind me is like, oh God, I'm gonna die. Oh God. And you're like, you're good, dude. Just keep looking at my head.
Yeah. Don't look down.
Don't look up. So, but the other side of that bridge was like walking through a portal. We
Oh,
were
wow.
we went from what was outside, but not only this, when you cross that bridge, it goes from like 40 degrees to 60 degrees.
Really?
So
Huh?
it's like a hot spring type
Yeah.
situation.
Oh, that's weird.
It is weird. And like there's nothing there to kind of create a like an area where that would happen. It's all open
Hmm.
air. So it shouldn't do that, but it does.
It's crazy.
And then so we're walking through. Sarah, of course, is taking pictures everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And then this guy goes, the guide goes, huh, there's a salamander.
That was
And
awesome.
it's like a little black and neon green one with little
Oh, wow.
finger things that come off of it, and it runs down into a crevice and hides and looks at us, and it's peeking out with its claws on the thing. You can see the little squiggly hair things that allow it to feel what's around it because it's blind, it's completely blind.
Oh, wow.
All of the
That's
animals at that
adorable.
in there are blind, and so they have adaptations like the weird finger feelers
Hmm.
to allow them to feel their environment and things that go by, and they feed on the insects and small crustaceans that are in the waters there. But we get to the very end, and it's the Great Dome. It's the biggest dome.
Sunset Dome.
Sunset. It's called Sunset Dome. Um, to give you a size comparison, you can fit $13
Oh yeah, that was so
generals
funny.
into this space.
That's what he used. Is this?
That's yeah. I was gonna say that. That's so funny that it's like $13 generals. It's like what?
Most American
Anything
reference
with the
ever.
metric system, right?
Um.
That's actually an American unit of measuring.
I asked the guide what the weirdest thing he's ever seen or heard in a cave was, and he said he heard the water witch, and I asked him what that is, and he says sometimes when there's nobody in the cave, they hear one of the guides talking, and they're not in the cave.
Not at all.
Like a minute?
Yeah, I've
But
I've
this,
I've heard stories of people in caves where they've it's like a weird phenomenon where it's either the audio isolation and it's their mind because your mind can't be that quiet that
yeah,
they hear voices, or it's water dripping, or it's something other.
um,
That would freak me out.
yeah. So what he does just after that, he's kind of showing us what the guy who originally went through the place saw. His light was so dim that he could only see, it was like holding a candle.
Oh yeah.
And so he turned off the lights. Of course, Sarah and I
Oh my,
there was
that's
three
right.
of us.
There was three people in that tour that had glow in the dark glasses.
Oh.
Like, what are the chances of that?
There's
And
uh,
yeah, so we had a 2S LGBTQ plus couple. We had
a guy
a
from
guy from Malaysia who just moved here from Ohio. I mean, just moved to Ohio from Malaysia. And then this older couple who was like so sweet, and had a Montreal, Canada sweater on. So it was
so
like, okay. It was just really weird the people we ended up with.
Yeah.
it was the perfect group for us to go through that and experience what we experienced. Now, when Buddy shut off the light, I was looking in the back of this space. Keep in mind, we don't know how big this is. We can hear echoes, and we know it's a big cavern, but at the back of that cavern is a tunnel that goes for like 21 miles.
Yeah, it's
21 miles?
Yes.
yeah, it's so the Green River goes into that cave and then out that cave and then it goes for another long, long
Yeah.
distance.
but the cave itself that they've explored so far is 21 miles. So
Jeez.
I'm looking at the back of this and I see movement at the back of the cave. Like something easily, like I can't show it on the camera, but like 5 feet around, moving like a serpent at the back of the cave. And
Oh,
I can see it just circling. And then as soon as the lights were turned off, it started snaking its way up towards us.
jeez.
And I felt like a rush of energy coming towards me. And then Buddy turns on his light and starts talking about Buddy. And then he flips the switch and turns on the light, and we see the whole area. It's because it's made of limestone. As the water circuit, it creates a vortex in that area
Hmm.
of it was hollowed out by water, hence why.
Oh yeah, cars. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a spiral shaped layers of limestone.
Wow.
Sorry. So feeling that energy coming towards me, then him talking about the water witch. That like that was one part of Kentucky. This was we skipped Franklin. We'll have to go back on Franklin. But anyways, um this cave had so much
It felt like
energy in
it
it.
felt like the completion of initiation.
Yeah.
Especially
Hmm.
when we were able to touch the cave.
Yeah.
Can you pass me my drink, please? I left my drink out of the way, so
Yeah, so it's Hidden River Cave in Horse Cave. It's such an amazing tour, and we learned that because it's a fast-moving river, they were able to bring the Horse Cave was the first city in Kentucky to have electric streetlights.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
The guy that that found
Birds or forest.
yeah, the guy that found that cave realized the potential there. And originally people would have to walk down like the original stairs.
Yeah.
Um there was no guardrail
Oh, and
and
they're almost
and they're
vertical.
almost vertical.
Oh,
And so people had to climb down into the cave to get their water for the day, basically. So they'd
Oh,
only
wow.
one trip.
You're risking your life for water. I can imagine those
Exactly.
steps are not well built and slippery.
So Buddy had the idea. He started piping the water to the top and created a well area
and
where
then he
people,
created an electricity generator.
and then he created the
So so
generator.
the so the electricity was generated by the river that was underground in the cave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
and so this whole town, like the tour guide, he's a musician, and
Oh
we
yeah.
asked him if he ever meditated or did something weird in there. And when there's no tours going on, he'll take his guitar and go down to that Sunset Cave, which he lives right above it. His house actually sits on the land, like his bedroom is right above the central
Yeah, I think
part
he
of it.
said the ground is 45 feet above the cave ceiling.
Yeah.
Only 45 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of ground.
No.
How is that even still like not falling?
It's true.
And to live there, I'd be like, I don't know.
So what he does, he'll go there when no one's around and play his
Mhm.
guitar.
Oh, really? It must sound amazing. He didn't have his good. They won't let him play his guitar on the tour just to hear the acoustics.
I think they could, but that day he didn't.
I mean, that would be
That would be
crazy to
phenomenal.
hear that.
They did tell us to yell in when the lights were out, and that was surreal, is screaming and hearing the sound echoing everywhere.
It
Yeah, I mean, it would just be bouncing off the walls, the ceiling, just coming right back to you. Oh, play the tunes in that one.
yeah.
Bing, bing, bing. Play that in there.
See what happens. Can
Yeah, you definitely, if you're in Kentucky, you have to make a
make a
detour
detour for that.
for Hidden River Cave.
Hidden River
I
Cave.
bet that tunnel, that 21-foot tunnel, continues all the way to Dan Dutton's backyard.
Probably. Probably. Well, speaking of Dan, we had 5 hours with the man.
Oh
He,
my God.
okay, to put things into
should we
perspective,
should we try to do this in order?
try and do it in order.
Okay,
Sorry.
so
We'll leave that for
so
last.
we did the conference, and I have to say, so this is gonna be recorded, so I'm gonna say this as neutral as possible because my family may see this. I was getting more text messages and messages about us coming to the conference than anybody sent me any messages from my family for the last like 5 years. So it was like really emotional for me because like everyone was giving hugs, and it was like we were all just like friends that have known each other for years.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
the vibe was like cozy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for people that are neurodivergent, to be cozy in an environment with a bunch of strangers, basically, that's something. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't usually happen. Like it, but weirdly, we met more neurodivergent people in this one trip than we have the whole of all other trips that we've had combined. So what I'm thinking is people that are neurodivergent like us are attracted to this stuff, or it's attracted to them.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
come up, like so many times in terms of like synesthesia and like yeah. I mean, I feel like we at least once an hour we're touching on that.
Hmm.
Yep.
And then we went to Franklin and we got to see oh my brain's gonna forget it, but the
Colonel,
colonel who plane crashed when he encountered a UFO.
yeah,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Um, uh, God, it starts with an M. Marshall Marcel.
tell.
Yeah, Martel.
Martel. So the actual field is private property, but they have a historical placard and they have a ton of stuff at the Franklin Museum. The Franklin Museum, for anyone who loves history, was absolutely amazing. Like hundreds and hundreds of artifacts and history. And we got a private tour from the collections manager. That was amazing.
Okay,
Oh,
Was that all those photos you sent?
yep.
Yeah.
Now, the collections manager is a folklore major from school.
It's about
Oh.
folklore. Like that was so random.
See, we met him. His forte is medieval warfare and medieval artifacts. That's what he focused on in school, and then and all of the folklore around medieval times and that. But what he's doing, like he's a farmer from that area. He
Oh
grew up
wow.
on a farm there, and he still works at that farm and volunteers time at the museum.
Well, look, Matthew's here. Perfect timing.
Hi,
Right when we were
Matthew.
talking about Franklin.
Hey, well timed, Matthew.
Which we need to, I forgot to say this to Matthew. Um, the collections manager Hey,
Hey,
Hey, is it working? Oh my
yep,
yeah.
God.
you're working.
I'm so technologically challenged.
Oh, I
Um,
think we
I just
lost.
I just want to say, Matthew, so when we went to Franklin, if you go to the museum, the collections manager definitely needs help with the Freemasonry because he's like, I don't really know much about it. So, I said,
At
well,
where?
at the Franklin Museum,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So he definitely needs help. So,
Okay. I probably will not get right on that, but the problem with the Franklin Museum is that it's typically closed by the time I get off work.
Oh,
oh,
So yeah, it's I don't get to go over like I used to.
yeah, we definitely have to. We helped him the best we could, but I was like, oh, I see. I don't even
We
know a lot.
what I need to do is I need to talk to Matthew
We should just send
uh,
Nathan Paul Isaac's email
yeah,
and then he can give him,
what he knows.
yeah.
Why? I'm trying to figure out why I don't have any camera.
Oh, if you look
Uh,
in the bottom,
I'll be there in a second. Sorry.
if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a camera.
Oh, I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got
There
it.
you go.
Maybe.
Oh, there we
There we
go.
go.
hey.
We can see.
So we'll
Yeah.
just go over. So we went to the Franklin History Museum. The collections manager has a master's in folklore of all things.
Hmm.
Um, but it's amazing. Like they have like tons of campaign buttons, high school projects,
High
tons.
Oh
school
wow.
photo albums as well.
The prison has like they do have a section on the prison, but they use the jailhouse to house more stuff. So like an entire section on military.
Yeah,
They have a classic kitchen. I will say when we went into jail, I don't know if it's haunted, but there is an
there's an
energy.
energy there, definitely.
It wasn't like nefarious, but it was intense.
Well, these people were incarcerated there, so
Yeah.
Matthew.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's. I was just going to show everybody. One neat thing about they had a sale upstairs. I don't know if you guys went upstairs. I got most of the esoteric books,
Oh,
but I got like all of these books from upstairs. A lot of Ode Arthur Ford, a lot of ASP books. Um, there was some Robert Anton Wilson.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, and I don't know where they got all these books. The story goes that they had bought out an esoteric book or a bookstore.
Nice.
So, so I um so I think the guy that has the Masters of Folklore that you were talking about, he says, I will sell you all of those books upstairs for a very good price. And I'm like,
Sold.
I said, well, actually, I said, I've actually picked over all your books, but thank you so much. I
I
appreciate the offer.
They did give us, so we had the owner of the Franklin Museum gave me some buttons which I need to twist Nathan's arm because I need to give them to him. So
Was this was this Billy that you are talking about?
a nice older
Earrings, long gray hair.
No, no, that's not Billy. Billy, I can't remember his last name. He's the one that has a local paranormal group,
Yeah,
and he does a lot of the ground penetrating radar.
Oh yeah, we
yeah,
Uh,
pseudo met him. Yeah.
yeah,
bald headed guy, long beard.
yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
was busy working, so it was like it was
Yeah,
one of those, this is Billy, hi, that kind of thing.
yeah.
Um, and they also gave us the Cosmic Egg book for free because they had some books they were getting rid of. So
Yeah.
it's like they were really nice. So I made sure I bought a book from a local author. It's about a woman or a group that smuggled people who wanted to fight for the Union out of Kentucky. I can't remember the name of the book.
Awesome.
So it was amazing. So what else did they have at the Franklin? They had
Well,
all of the
they had
indigenous.
graffiti from Civil War
Oh yeah,
prisoners
that was
Oh
crazy.
wow.
on the walls. Like they were complaining about their conditions, about
Yeah.
the rice and food and whatnot. But this place, the jail, is basically the upstairs. You're you're seeing actual walls from that they've uncovered, and they're still working to bring out more of it, uh, that they've uncovered from the Civil War. And so it's for us, Matthew. You live in the town. If you have the option to go there when you have an actual day off, uh,
They also had an old fire the old fire truck.
yeah,
They had a piece of the airplane from
hotel, yeah,
Mantel and all of
Oh wow.
dogs and stuff.
yeah,
Uh oh, there was the hospital bed that one of the guys was
the,
born on.
yeah. So, but
I mean, just we spent 3 hours there because there's hundreds of artifacts
there's no way to go through that place
and
in one day.
and the collections manager said they have hundreds more artifacts, but it's like a small thing, and so they don't have enough volunteers. So there's more in boxes. It's just absolutely fabulous.
So, what we should recap a little bit for Matthew. Uh,
Oh, yeah, we didn't tell Matthew about the cave. So, real quick, Matthew, we're just gonna tell you. So, uh, when I was really young, there was this cave we went to, but my parents aren't as adventurous as us. So I wasn't allowed to go down the sinkhole. I wasn't allowed to go on the tour. And just by chance, we found it, and it was Hidden River Cave. And when we crossed the river,
yeah,
I felt a shift. And then something followed us the whole way. And AJ saw something in the darkness.
yeah. I saw like a serpent at the back of the cave, and it
His audio is not working. He's Matthew's muted. Muted.
are you
It
muted,
was
Matthew?
it was following your eyeglasses.
Probably, yeah.
You were glowing in the dark.
Well,
How could it not?
You know what's funny? There were three of us on the tour with glow in the dark glasses.
It's hilarious. I'm not going to bow down to peer pressure.
See, for tall people, certain areas of that cave are very dangerous.
So I wore a hat just for that reason, because if I hadn't, I would have scraped my head about 4 or 5 times
Yep.
wiggling through there.
It 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 is interesting how us short people, caves are built for us. We we can go through them, no problem at all.
So what you're saying, AJ, is you're part goblin?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I am a dwarf.
It's all becoming clear now.
Yeah, so before we went to the museum, I forgot we went to Mammoth Cave with Matthew. That
Yes.
was amazing.
Uh, Mammoth Cave was another interesting place. Um, we didn't see any salamanders at Mammoth Cave, did we?
No, just crickets.
Just the crickets. At hidden at the hidden river cave, we saw a black and neon green salamander. Of course, he ran and hid, and only his long finger thingies were sticking out. and he was peeking out at us. But uh and then I saw that serpent thing at the back of the cave. And that he's like the salamander was like 5 feet away.
I didn't see the salamander, so
I did.
I didn't get to
And it
see
was
him.
cool.
He was hiding and I didn't want to scare him.
But so the guy talked about water witches.
Oh, I asked him what the strangest thing he's ever heard or seen in the cave, and he said the water witch. And I asked what that was. And sometimes at Hidden River Cave, when nobody's in the cave, they'll hear their coworker talking, but their coworker will not be in the cave at all.
So it's a mimic.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, you need to go to Hidden River Cave. It's a lot of stairs, but you need to do it.
You just talked me right out of it.
You have to go. And you will, if you go to Hidden River Cave, you will have gone on the only suspension bridge
In
in
a
a
cave
cave
in the world.
That's so wild.
None of that says anything to me that I want to go there. Suspended bridge, lots of stairs. You it's like you don't know me at all.
Uh,
Okay. The first day,
I'm gonna go bathroom. I'll be right back.
okay. The first day that we were basically checking out to go to the cave, it was too late in the day, and so we set up for the next morning. That day, we went down to the mouth of the cave and walked back up, and I thought I was gonna die. Like I was out of breath. I was I was winded. And then the day of, we go down in, and I'm expecting to be winded like I was the day before. Nothing. It was
Interesting.
nothing. And like walking back up, even it's a lot of steps, but I didn't feel like I was gonna die like the day before, which is weird because why would something be physically affecting you one day and not the next? If it's the same environment, it could just have been that it was down into a different uh atmospheric level.
Was anyone with you the
Hmm?
first time? That
No, it was late in the day and we just went to check it out.
okay.
Yeah.
You
So
can you don't have to go on the cave tour. You can go down the sinkhole. You just can't go inside the cave
unsupervised.
Did they make you walk on the mats after you left the cave?
No, but we washed our things in the hotel because we don't have white nose syndrome here in BC yet, so we're like
Hyper.
aware of that.
But with that cave, the hidden river cave, it floods out 5 times a year,
Gotcha.
and so they
Gotcha.
have the buildup.
Chicken nuggets.
Chicken
We
nugget.
didn't talk about chicken nuggets.
What are chicken?
Okay, so they don't have a lot of bats in that cave, but they have one
Uh,
little brown bat who always comes back every year.
And they don't know how he gets in.
His name is Chicken Nugget, and we got to see
Aw.
him. Adorable.
He
I was gonna ask that. I was like, if it's so
he's not
deep.
that big,
Oh,
and
I was gonna ask that. Was there a lot of bats? But being so far down, I imagine it's hard for them at night,
hard for
every
them to
night
get out.
to get out. They just
Yeah.
expend so much energy flying.
But with him, because he's so small, he finds
Yeah.
a way in somehow at that back portion of the cave.
So there's like another way out for
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
But the guy that did the tour, he literally sleeps on top of Sunset Cave, Matthew.
Sunset Dome.
Sunset Dome. His house is literally on top of the dome that he goes into every night
Yeah, it's
or every
45.
day.
It's 45
Mm-mm.
feet. The cave ceiling house.
So-
He obviously don't know what happened at the Corvette Museum.
So was he living there before he started doing the tours, or doing the
Yeah.
tours, he found his way to living above it?
It sounds so there was a tour who's been there forever, and it sounds like he moved in with him as a roommate and then got a job at the museum because he's a caver. Everyone who works at Hidden River Cave is a caver.
Yeah. And like he told us a story about a new section of the cave that they had explored.
Oh God.
And okay, he made a mistake and he fell down 15 feet into a
Jeez.
cave that was full of silt, and he had to run up the silt to get
It's
out.
like quicksand.
Exactly. And he couldn't do it. He did it like 3 or 4 times, and then he started getting smart and used his shovel to make footholds as he was going.
He found a new passage, and this is cavers are a different level of fearless. He had
Yeah.
to belly crawl until he hit a brick. He hit a dead end. So then he had to belly crawl
Back out.
backwards.
He couldn't
And
turn
he
around.
said, well, it wasn't 20 kilometers, was it? No,
No, it was like 200 feet.
200 feet. He had to belly crawl backwards and forth.
Yeah. Now, now the thing is, he's going along in this thing, and his light starts getting dimmer,
Oh God.
and then he hits the wall, and it's completely out, and he has to back his ass out without light.
And so because this cave floods and it's really muddy, every time it like does a major flood, they explore the cave again. So they do this at least every year.
Yeah.
Does the flood like bring all that silt
It
out
brings
so they can
all
the
find new
silt out.
passages?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
I still
No.
wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no
No.
way. No.
If
No.
it hasn't been explored before, no, no thanks.
Yeah.
see,
I watched
gonna
too
be a
many
no
of
for
those
me.
people getting trapped and
Oh my
doing
God.
the caving where they're like upside down and they just die there. You're like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Nutty Butter Cave has traumatized me forever. I can only do tourist caves now. I'm too scared. Like we have Hornby
What is nutty? What is it called? Nutty what?
nutty butter.
Nutty Butter Cave. He got stuck upside down.
Oh,
They
okay.
tried to break his legs to get him out, and he ended up just dying because there was no way. He fell in a
I
hole.
think yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Where the guy's like, it's like a pitch, like all funny, where he just like got
Yeah.
stuck. I
Yeah.
didn't know they had to break his legs. Was he
Well, they
alive?
tried to, and they for whatever reason they decided it wasn't humane.
I would just say fill the cave up with gas and let me go silently, peacefully.
Yeah, like ugh.
I don't want to die of starvation or dehydration.
Uh,
Sorry.
he was upside down, so he basically fell asleep because the blood
Oh yeah.
went into his head. So
All the
still,
blood rushed down there and he just passed out.
yeah,
Yeah.
Still took like 3 days
or
for that to happen.
Yeah,
um,
but is that the one where they like drilled down
Yeah.
next to him and then tried to get to him and they kept missing him
Yep.
or something like that?
Yeah.
something, yeah. Ugh.
No thanks.
I can see Matthew cringing right there.
It's so
Nope.
AJ wanted to go on the caves here, Hornby Caves, and they said there's a part where you have to shimmy and you have to be a certain width. And I looked at AJ and I was like, I
I'm
love
not that
you.
with.
I
No.
love you. There's no way I'm doing this. Like I am a coward.
See, okay. My
I'm a
first,
bear. If it's not a bear cave, I don't go in it.
I don't blame you. The first cave I ever experienced was Amethyst Cave in Nova Scotia, which is a coastal cave that floods out when the tide comes in.
And Nova Scotia has the fastest tides in the world
And
on top of that, by
yes.
the way.
Nope.
So, but
Add drowning on top of just dying in a cave. No thanks.
see, this cave is worth it just for the site because it's a giant geode of purple
Oh,
amethyst.
wow.
So you crawl in on your belly to get in, and it's about 50 feet. You're on your belly, and then it opens up into this cavern about 6 feet tall that is, well, until you turn on the light, you don't see what's in there. but it's all crystalline growth of amethyst. And you turn on the light and it shines everywhere. So
Wow.
so it's an amazing sight. And now because of climate change, no one can get to those caves anymore. It's
Oh.
underwater. But if someone has the proper scuba gear and takes their time, they could probably get into those caves and get well, we got jewel grade amethyst out of that cave, and I kept that
Wow.
for years and years. I don't even, is that the one sitting on your desk that we
I
used
have
today?
no idea.
It probably
We've moved
is.
twice, so
We have we have a piece of amethyst we used today for a pendulum experiment that we
Oh
did.
God, let's
That
not
was
talk about that.
I'm gonna run
yeah,
get some
hates
food. I'll be right
physics.
back.
No, I don't hate physics. I'm taking this free physics course and it's done. Yes.
That's awesome.
The physics course is done in the most frustrating way possible for being an online course.
Yep. Yeah. They
That'll turn you off of it real quick.
real quick.
Oh,
Oh, well, the thing is, they don't explain the experiment. They don't give you clear parameters for doing the experiment. And then they expect you to come up with something that's quantifiable. And so, so if you're doing the experiment at one speed with the pendulum, you have to know where your start position is and duplicate that every time. They don't tell you that in the
Oh,
instructions. And so people's numbers are going to be widely different than what they should be.
mhm.
And I don't understand why they did that, but that's the way they did it.
it's a free course, so if I fail, it doesn't do anything for my university. So
That's good. That's probably why, because it was a free course. So somebody's just like, just do this.
Do this.
yeah.
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 Um
So is there anything else about Franklin?
well the the Mill Street dot cafe.
Oh my God, the
That was
Mill Street Cafe was absolutely delicious.
it's they made a gumbo,
Oh, so
which
good.
was a perfect gumbo, and they gave you little cornbreads, like little mini cornbread muffins, and that that's great
I
for
also
me.
had pumpkin spice soda, which was about as disgusting as you think it was.
Yeah,
I decided to try it. No, just no.
Oh,
pumpkin
speaking of pumpkin spice, I bought some M&Ms that were like pumpkin pie. Don't buy them.
no.
No, they are not good. I like pumpkin pie, and I was like, oh, maybe they're pretty good. No, they're not good. They don't taste right. They taste like it's like too much clove, and it's just not good. Steer clear.
They overdo it. I find
Yeah,
with the pumpkin spice they overdo it, particularly drinks.
yeah.
The Starbucks pumpkin spice now is so gross.
Are you still with us, Matthew?
I think he's just
Yeah, I'm just getting by to eat.
Okay.
What are you eating?
I'm really not sure. The middle child and her boyfriend made it. I know
Oh,
that there's Pillsbury crescent rolls involved. There's cream cheese. Um, I don't know what this is. Maybe chicken. Whatever it is, it's really good. But
hey,
I just
that's
don't
all
know
that
what it is.
matters.
As long as it tastes good, can be a
um
mystery as long as it's good.
oh, we also went to the Franklin Antique Museum, which well, I've lived in Canada too long, so like there was a whole section of indigenous artifacts for sale, and I was like,
Oh yeah, no,
yeah, I'm gonna pretend I
no.
didn't see this. So that was really weird, but like they were nice, but they had I told Greg and Dana, but I don't think they paid attention. So I told pile to go get it. They had a 3-toed alien statue and a old fortune-telling board game.
Oh wow.
It was way too much money to get.
Yeah, we would have we.
We would have bought him and like Matthew.
So here's the thing about that mall. Um, I'll tell you, it's a byproduct of all things the History Channel show American Pickers.
Mm.
When American Pickers started coming around and buying all that rusty gold, and people said, "Oh wait, all my junk is worth a lot of money." So everything that used to be in antique stores that were really cheap and stuff is now super expensive, and a lot of the stuff isn't even antique.
No
It's like
thing.
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't like a lot of it was just junk.
right, but it's high dollar junk according to them. They're very
That
proud
shabby
of their
chic
wares.
paint job on it, with the forced patina, which I think it's a spray you can buy which rusts metal and stuff like that, or it's muriatic acid. It just makes the metal look rusty and old. Yeah, we have a couple of those here in the studio.
Uh,
Yeah, we just bought two. We got two old postcards that were two very old photographs of Canada. It was
Ooh, nice.
in
Wait, you
particular,
found them
where we
down
live
there?
in Canada.
one was Northwest Arm,
Yeah,
and the other one was old
Peggy's Cove, Peggy's
we
Cove.
got the Nova Scotia fishermen and the old boats.
Yeah, that was Peggy's Cove too.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, Peggy's Cove. Because our tides are so weird and come in so quick, every week people are dying on those rocks. People from outside of Nova Scotia. They come in to visit and there's clear signs to tell you not to go down on the rocks.
And a security guard now. They have a security guard
And
now.
they ignore them. They just go down on it and then suddenly they're off the rocks in the water. And so
And our tide is so fast that when you get sucked up, you're like 2 miles. I think you're in less than 5 minutes, you're 2 miles out from the shore.
yeah,
Jeez.
like when I was learning to swim, I learned to swim in the ocean in that particular area, but not in Hayes Cove proper, but in the gut part of the cove. And I got caught in an undertow, and I was a mile and a half out before I hit the surface.
Jeez.
And luckily, when I was a kid, I could hold my breath for like 3 or 4 minutes. And that's basically how long it took me to get out that mile and a half in that undertow. So you have to be cognizant of your surroundings there. And dogfish. Okay. Dogfish will attack anything. They're the most vicious shark that you'll ever encounter, other than like uh the blue tip shark or tiger shark. They but they're small. They're like 6 to 7 feet. And when one grabs a hold of you, you've been bit. But they're not strong enough to tear you apart. They'll just take a chunk out of you.
Yeah, but then you bleed and all the rest of them find you.
Yeah, and that's how they're a pack animal.
Yeah.
And so like they they have one that attacks and then two that follow in and go at you. But back to our story.
I think that's it for Franklin.
Franklin, yeah.
Yeah, definitely like the field is private property, so we did a video that we'll post and we're like, do not go in the field. It is private property. Do not go there. But you can see the field, and you can park at the antique store and walk to the edge of the driveway and see a clear field. But
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to LiDAR. You can't see anything anymore.
Yeah. They've done a really good job of concealing the area.
I wonder what that LiDAR project, if you can look that up and see that field.
I have to play with it. I was having a hard time with it, so I have to play with it
Yeah,
more.
I did too. It's not
But
very
I
it's
was
not very user friendly.
I
No.
was reading something and it said Google Maps uses LiDAR. So I need to play with Google Maps to figure that out, because it was like Google Maps was like, yes, we do LiDAR to make your maps more accurate.
Huh.
So we may look into that.
So so we went from Franklin to the Hidden River Cave Tour, and then we went to Pulaski County. Um, so how do you want to start this? So first, when we were leaving Franklin, we were on a highway
Yeah.
that barely fit 2 cars.
Yeah, we were taking a back road because suddenly
Probably,
GPS said you're taking a back road.
Yeah. So then we went on to a slightly bigger highway. I was like,
whoa, wait. Did we not have the conversation about going up 65 past Mammoth Cave and then going straight over to Somerset?
Yes, but our GPS
no, but we
decided it wasn't going to do that
No,
for us.
Franklin.
Did I not tell you not to listen to the GPS?
We went from Franklin to Horse Cave. So when we were at
Oh,
Horse Cave, yeah. And so we went from a tiny highway that is not a freaking highway to a slightly bigger highway to a slightly bigger highway, and then to
The main highway.
yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
And then what song was it that came on?
Okay. So our GPS was saying, okay, you're going to be there at 3:00. And I was like, okay. And I was looking at the thing, and it was like 1:45, 1:46. And we're getting closer and closer. And I'm like, we're going to be there before there. I don't understand why this GPS is saying 3:00. So we passed the Pulaski County sign, and we're going down into Pulaski County, and it's a Journey Separate Worlds. As soon as we pass the sign, the song goes, troubled times, caught between confusion and pain, 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 distant eyes, promises we made were in vain, vain, vain. And then you go down to this big, like, gully or something, and then as we come up, so we were going down like at 1:47, 1:48.
Yeah.
We crossed the Fishing Creek Bridge and come back up, and it's like 2:30, 2:40.
Yeah.
We lost an hour.
We lost an hour of
when
time.
we crossed Pulaski County.
Yep. Now, do be aware though that when you get over to Pulaski, there is the Central to Eastern time zone.
So
Yeah, but
it's a time warp in that you go
but isn't all
you're an hour
Kentucky-
different.
were we in different time zone in
Yeah.
Kentucky?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
Oh, that explains it. We were like
So
you.
for example, I went to my mom's house, and it takes 3 hours to drive, 2.5, 3 hours. So I'll leave at 7:00, and it'll be 11:00 when I get to her house because they're in Eastern time. But when I go back, it's still 3 hours to go back. But when I get back home, it's only taken 2 hours.
Oh,
you lose an hour.
because when we were leaving Pulaski, it was like the same thing. We're like, I don't understand. We left at this time. Why are we going to get to
Right.
at 9 in the morning. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was so like, but the fact that that Journey song was playing as we descended into Pulaski County, like we were listening to the radio. We
Yeah.
had no control over that. That was weird.
It was like something was guiding the music to put us in the headspace of what we were going to experience in Kentucky,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Somerset. Now, Somerset, okay,
Oh
when
my God, the GPS. Oh
the
my God. Oh my
GPS
God.
did not work.
Oh my God. So, okay, we're like, why aren't we following the Somerset signs? I don't get it. And so it was like turn left at the light. There was no stoplight. It was this like white pillared barricade. And I was like, oh, I missed it. And I was like, and the roads are a little bit wet. And I said, and I was like, okay, the guy in the truck is far away from me. So he realizes I'm a dumbass tourist. So we brake checked on the highway. We survived. Um, and we go through a neighborhood and then into the back of the hotel. But there's like a major road that goes right past the hotel. But every time it was like, nope. And we went through neighborhoods the entire time we were in Somerset. We only crossed major roads.
See, there was a reason behind that because it guided us to areas that are in Penny Royal that the guys tell us not to go to.
Okay, this is the weird thing. So we didn't want to do anything with Penny Royal because it's all private property. Our hotel is a 5-minute drive from Oakwood. We went to the battlefield, which is in Nancy, and then Kyle showed us around Somerset. And I have to say, the removing a Cundiff Square is like the most saddest, tragic thing because there was businesses, there was homes,
Mm.
and now it's just a empty pit.
I'm going to agree to disagree as a native, and let me tell you why. Cundiff Square should have never been built.
Mm.
He was a bad man. He probably was involved in 2 murders of children. He put this big vein white pyramid of evil in the middle and tried to tell everybody that the town springs was there. It's not. The town springs is up there, next to where the paranormal museum is. It's not there. He built all that. It's a con. So now that it's gone, and good riddance, I'm going to tell you that it's the most beautiful thing because the nature is
Taking
overtaking
over
it.
it.
It is, yeah, it is
It's
greeny.
reclaiming and it's beautiful. I was there yesterday and it did my heart so well
Yeah.
to see what was happening there. I agree that what's left there should be bulldozed and flowers planted, bury it where it belongs. A little side note, and then I'll shut up, is that the mayor of Somerset had the city sell the property for $1 to this conservative college that was going to build a big college there. And oh yeah, I also forgot that it's highly likely that Cundiff Square, when it was built, cut into the cemetery and was
Buried.
built on graves. I
Yeah,
told you guys about that part. But back to what I was saying, this conservative college bought it for $1. Mysteriously, the mayor and his brother were on the board of said college, and they realized that they released all these big plans for this college and released it, and it was going to be a monstrosity. And mysteriously, they realized they didn't have enough room to build it, so it never got built. So now that nature's there, it's
yeah, Kyle showed us where the hill where all the displaced cemeteries likely had. It's just a giant green hill. Please nobody go and disturb that thing. Yeah. It's I have to, and I'm not saying this as a criticism. I'm saying this as I feel akin to it. Somerset downtown feels like what's happening to Victoria.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's being killed by the
corporate
corporate
greed
greed.
and landlords.
Yeah, because
That's why the library's selling the building that Kyle's museum's in.
Oh yeah,
that building is atrocious.
He's really upset, but we told Kyle, like, it's going to be a good thing because, you're not going to have to deal with black mold. You're not going to have to deal with floods.
Flooding.
And I don't want to, he hasn't announced it yet, so I don't want to say it is, but he told us where he thinks he's going, and it's going to be so good. Like, it's a good, I understand it's like closing of doors can be really painful. And so, like, I understand what he's going through, but he's going to come out of it so much better.
Exactly. And I told Kyle yesterday, I was like, you have to realize that you are part of the museum. So where you go, the museum goes. Because people go to the museum to see Kyle. I mean,
He's the head of it. He's the spokesperson.
Yeah, it was
especially the Hellier people. They're like, oh, it's Kyle. He was on Hellier's season 2, episode 8. Go talk to him.
Yeah, it was so nice to like we basically nobody was at the museum, so it was just me, Kyle, and what's his girlfriend's name?
Taylor.
Taylor, yeah.
Taylor.
So it was a really nice thing, and we got to talk about all the weird stuff. Oh, so I didn't want to tell Kyle this because I don't want to be upset. So, like, I have a shoulder injury, and the entire time we've been on vacation, I've been fine until I was in Gladys's room reading books. Something in Gladys's room was like latching onto my shoulder, and I was starting to get like in pain.
Yeah. I've seen things in that room. That's where all the haunted objects are.
Yeah, like the witch's dagger and the I'm assuming
Now,
witch's spell books covered in wax.
I'll tell you, his mom used to be instrumental in keeping things happy. And what I mean by that is she was the one that dressed Gladys up. For the other two dolls, she kind of studied them, and she got impressions, and she's like, she wants a silver bow in her hair. And so she went and found her a silver bow, and I forget what she did for the little boy, but I mean, it just calmed them right down. And when she passed, I think a little of that was lost.
So as Kyle is dealing with the emotions of that, so are they.
Right. Absolutely. Because she was a sweet lady.
Gladys did wink at me several times.
Yeah,
I love Gladys.
Oh,
yeah, I wish nothing paranormal, like nothing overtly paranormal happened on the trip, and I'm very sad. But I did pretty sure I completed initiation in Hidden River Cave, so that's pretty big.
Well, in this at the Civil War area. Okay, Matthew.
Come here.
Where that building is,
it's the Mill Springs Battlefield Visitor Center and Cemetery.
Okay.
On the opposite side, away from the cemetery, I got really emotional in that area, and the whole time I was hearing musket fire and cannon fire, and I could hear the voices of people rushing past in that area.
Oh wow.
But the thing is, it was like a memory of it, not like I was there.
Yeah. Maybe you were.
Possibly.
But
Possibly I have family but all.
so something did follow us home from the visitor center.
Yeah.
We walked around the cemetery, which was really sad.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, it was almost all World War II.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of Canadian soldiers there too.
yeah, that was the
Huh.
weird thing. We asked the park ranger, but the cemetery is separate, so he wasn't sure. But there are Canadians buried in the Mill Springs military cemetery.
Now, Canadian soldiers, I know this from studying World War II. Canadian soldiers and American soldiers went over in 1939. Uh, like three years before the rest of the U.S. joined the war. And so I'm thinking that it has something to do with that. But
7:45 to 8, or like it's fine if you can't, but
okay,
Sorry.
it's all good.
But so something followed us home.
Something followed us
I
home.
did have a bad nightmare that night, but other than my nightmare, there wasn't anything bad that happened in our hotel. It just was like creaking, pops,
Yeah, lots of popping.
things we didn't hear when we were in Somerset the rest of the time, just
Yeah,
that night.
just that one night. But that being said, the next day after we went to the visitor center, we went to the
It's the site of the actual
site of the
battlefield.
actual battlefield. Like
It's
the
where
last stand is
it's
what it is.
it's where the Confederates got stuck in the ridge.
Yeah. And that area
It was so peaceful.
was very peaceful.
That was the thing, like it was so peaceful, and the wooded area was like so beautiful, so calm.
And I didn't feel the emotional baggage of the day before. So whatever it was that followed us had bad experiences in that battlefield, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, and where we were the next day was where the hospital was and the
Yeah,
blacksmith shop. So you
yeah,
think of all places.
that would be so.
It was very peaceful. That it's also where the Confederates are buried,
Yeah,
respectfully, which is nice to see.
yeah. It's good to see that they were treating them with the same respect that they were
Well, it
the
was the
Union.
woman who did it, by the way. I can't remember
Yeah,
her name, but they didn't do that. A woman
woman.
started doing that.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, the problem with the Civil War was that in that area you had both sides,
Well, and it
and
doesn't
it's brother against literally brother against brother at times.
matter. Like, there's the whole story about Gettysburg. Okay, so the government paid this guy to bury Union soldiers, but they put in mass graves of Confederates and then put the ground over them.
Mhm.
Like, so I think this is so pertinent today. People don't understand how devastating the Civil War was. It absolutely devastating. It tore families apart. Like, when I see these families who are like, you know what? You're not coming to Christmas. You're not coming to Thanksgiving. I don't want to talk to you anymore. It's literally like the Civil War again.
Yeah,
It's absolutely devastating. And it's like, it doesn't matter if the Union side or the Confederate side, these were guys who are like 14, 15 years old sometimes 11, 12 years old, that died horrifically.
yeah,
And we should honor that.
yeah.
And so that was nice to see that the Confederates and the Union soldiers
We're
were,
getting their due.
the way they presented it, they were respectful of both sides. So
Yeah.
that was really nice.
But one funny situation, the fog in that area is amazing in how quickly it comes in and dissipates. But when it's there, you can't see 5 feet in front of you. And so these two, a Union general and the Confederate
Oh God, that was funny.
general were standing beside each other talking uh about things. I forget exactly what they were talking about, but they basically, I'm not going to fire on my own men, and they were both saying the same thing to each other. And then one side comes barreling in and says, "You're right by the bad guys," and they start fighting and whatnot. But it's like, okay, if you can't tell the difference between uh Union and Confederate in that area, you shouldn't be fighting in that
Oh my
area.
God, it was so bad. Yeah.
But
When you see the ridge where
it's a
they
bottleneck.
yeah, like yeah, they were protected, but as soon as they had to retreat, they had to go up a vertical hill,
Yeah.
and it was probably muddy and
Well, it's like a swampy area at the bottom. So when you get to the bottom, you're going through mud and whatnot, and then trying to climb up over a hill. And in fall, that place is caked with slippery
oh yeah,
leaves and
I wore my
whatnot.
tennis shoes, and that was a mistake. It was a bog at Mill Springs.
So we did a little bit of a live stream there and walked through, and
It was just peaceful.
it's, I had the same experience as the day before where I could hear musket fire and see people moving through the woods. But see, because I see through the veil, so to speak, because I'm messed up. My brain chemistry and brain uh abnormalities make me that way. I just
It's not messed up. It's you're in tune.
I'm in tune. Yeah. So I'm in tune to the other realm or the other side. And I see all of this, but regardless of what I was seeing, it felt so peaceful there. Like the people that fought there are at peace with everything that happened at that point and have moved on.
Yeah, like that park is like just a very nice, peaceful park.
Yeah. And
And, and which is funny because it's in Nancy where they see all the Black Panthers.
yeah,
But when we were there, nothing.
we
No.
we saw a buck going up over the
Oh,
rise,
this was
so
cool. We got to see it really close up to a deer. That was cool.
he was climbing the hills, we were coming down.
Yeah. But yeah, no weird vibes. Just very peaceful
Peaceful.
place.
Now, I come from a line of blacksmiths. My great grandfather was a blacksmith, and the blacksmith shop was very intriguing to me. I really enjoyed that.
Well, it's a placard.
It's a
There's nothing
placard.
left.
There's nothing left of it, but I would like to see them reconstruct something there to really give it that.
Yeah, Mill Springs is one of the newest parks. It's one of the good things the dumb fuckery did before he left. So they actually don't even own all the battlefield right now. There's two other associations.
Yeah,
So they're just like
Battlefield Association
yeah,
owns
they're a
most of it.
brand new park. So they'll probably
Expand.
expand a bit.
Yeah. Now, all of that built up to us going to see Dan.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
Uh, now I've known Dan for 4.5 years now.
Well, you've talked to him.
I've talked to
We
him
haven't
online,
met him yet.
but like I've talked to him about deeply personal things. Him and I kind
And
of
he let me
meshed.
hug him right away. I asked if I could give him a hug, which I'm very introverted, but I
She
immediately,
never does that.
as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh my God, can I give you hugs? So I got to hug Dan.
And that set off the whole thing. He invited us to Dandyland, and his sole intention was just sitting and talking. But something he didn't know about me is I've been to Japan. I lived in Japan, and so I'm very steeped in that culture. When we came in, he did a traditional Japanese tea ceremony.
Wow.
And he did that without knowing that part of me, and that set me completely at ease right away because I'm a fan of everything he does. And so it was
And
very special.
the fireplace in the sitting area was Aunt Lou's fireplace, which
Yep.
was amazing. We didn't know that. And we got to see all his hidden art.
Yeah.
That was
So I don't know if Morgan is familiar with Dan's art, but see if I can do
Not
this.
his books, but I've seen his art. Yeah.
This is a piece he did for the Goblin Market.
that is so
Wow.
That's the one. Oh, Matthew, you got an awesome painting.
That is
Yeah.
amazing.
So he did a raffle at the Goblin Market, and
I guess he won that.
He manifested that. Wanted that one.
He showed us where the Adena mound is on his neighbor's property.
Property.
It's mostly gone, but like you can see where the ground is artificially raised
Yeah.
in one part, and it's very rounded, so it's
Yeah.
not like it's very intentional. And then we saw, of course, at the edge of the Adena mound, wild turkeys.
Wild turkeys.
So
Yeah.
I was totally geeking out about that.
They were congregating where they had dropped all of the leavings from the soybeans
Yeah.
for the year. Um,
So we
Dan,
got to see
Dandelion is
all-
a crazy place.
Yeah, we got to see the moon pool, all of the secret statues and artwork. That was amazing. He showed us his workplace, and I got some lino cuts or lino prints.
do you want to get them?
Okay.
Okay, she's gonna get them. He showed us his process for doing some of his printing, and of course, the first thing he shows us is mushrooms, which I'm big on mushrooms. Mushroom anything, I'm there.
So let's see. So he gave us, let's see, where's the camera? Oh, it's not going to show up because it's black.
Cover your faces.
No, it's not.
No.
Oh,
Here, get rid of the background. It's pretty, but let's show them.
All right. All right. I can do this. And things,
Backgrounds and effects.
backgrounds,
No, we don't want any.
none there.
Okay. It's fine. They just get our mountain view. Okay. Now I can show them. So he gave us and signed a book of
wow.
this, which I'm so excited because there's a thing of Old Scratch in here. But I paid for one and he gave us 3. So we have that.
Oh, that's amazing.
He did that when he was 17.
Oh, wow.
That one.
Is that
One's from when he was,
like woodcut?
yeah.
And he does printings of them. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And then he gave me Aunt Lou for free.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So I bought frames for them. So those are going up.
Now, do you have the? Okay, he signed
Oh, you want me to show this signature?
the signature. He put a chicken on there.
I got the
It was just perfect.
Okay. trying it down.
down this way.
Let's see it. Oh, yep. Oh, that's so cool.
So
What
he
an
did,
amazing gift.
yeah,
Oh yes. And he was like, I was like, oh, I really want to buy some of your artwork while I'm here because he sells it on Facebook, but I always miss it.
Mhm.
He charged me $40
That's
for
it.
all three of those. Like, okay.
what the thing is, our entire conversation, yeah,
Oh,
This is
wow.
one of the pieces I
this is another piece of art. I don't remember the dude's name that did it, but
so that's he was just showing my work. Um, now I'm gonna get blushy about it. I the paintings I do are very channeled. Uh, like I focus in on the person and on the folklore around that person, and I do a painting based on that, and that's how I do it. And our conversation with him was, how do I monetize something that I put everything of myself into, and then sell it and he basically said the people that are above our pay grade basically are the ones who dictate the price of what you sell. So if you think that your painting is worth $40, sell it for 600. And then the people that are going to value the painting will value it however they want to value it.
Yeah.
He did tell us how much it's gonna cost to get his opera made. So if anyone viewing this after the fact, please buy his art. He
Yeah,
needs to
he
raise a
needs.
lot of money.
Yeah, it's a
It's
good
a
chunk of
lot.
change.
So
And
please buy a painting from Dan Dunn.
so with the Stone Man, what they did for Stone Man, that was an interactive opera. And an interactive opera, you're putting the audience into the story and they're interacting with it. And see, with Dan, that's his magic. His magic is his creativity, and like, or it's connected to his creativity. And I love Nathan and them for showing off Dan Dutton, but in order to really understand the man, you have to meet him.
Yeah.
Like no matter how much they can say, no matter how much they can kind of push the narrative that he is uh like a an Ifa priest type person.
Well, yeah, he had that massive African what artwork in
Yeah,
his thing too.
yeah. He he is very much a magician like Matthew is. Like we are.
Well, no, I so my thing seems to be books.
Books. Sarah can find books anywhere.
And
She can walk in, you can tell her, look for this, and she'll find it.
I find weird connections.
Yep.
That seems to be my magic.
Mine is everything ghostly. Past things, like past, future, stuff like that. I'm very much a into chronomancy. So that is my thing. I can walk into different realms at times. That's the only way I can
Oh,
explain it.
I forgot. Oh, so the morning before we went to the paranormal museum, we got our first stink eye in Kentucky.
Yep.
So this woman who looks and dresses like Tammy Faye, I go, "Good morning." And I'm wearing the Penny Royal shirt, so it's got the Cardiff Square pyramid on it. She looks at me and
It
then
was
looks away and then walks away, and she was watching us the
the whole
entire
time.
time we ate breakfast.
Jeez.
That was
Absolute
the only
sweet
time.
guy. That was the only time. Everyone else was sweet.
Yeah, we're wondering what we did to piss her off, but
She's from
but
Somerset. It probably didn't take anything.
oh man, but the whole trip was fun.
Um,
We're glad we met you, Matthew.
oh yeah, we weren't able, we were in the city and it was the light pollution was awful. So the next time we go, we have to find a like more off the beaten path to stay.
Place, yeah.
You need to stay down. I don't know if they even have any places down there anymore, but they used to. Down. Well, actually, I think there's a lodge down there, down by Cumberland Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't stay there because it was out of the way. This time
Right.
we stayed in the city, but I think next time we need to do that.
Yeah. Did you guys go see the falls?
No,
we did get to
because
see
we were
it.
so busy meeting everybody.
If the thing is, Kentucky is such a history heavy place. You can't see everything in 1 week. There's no way to do it. You have to do multiple trips. Um, I'm wondering when we'll get the chance to do it again.
Yeah, so this is the kind of the sour thing. I can't leave Canada until I know what Dickface is going to do because he's talked about locking down the borders.
I was
And
going to say probably about 2028 or later would be
yeah, and for some reason he has a hate on for Americans living outside of the US. Like in when he last time he got in, he was like, I'm gonna make everybody come home. And he tried to like force everyone to go back, and someone had to say, no, actually, you don't have control over that. The countries that they're in have control over that. So I know I'm a Canadian citizen, so I know I can go to an embassy and get out, but I know that Canada's probably going to tell me don't do it. So
Yeah. Uh,
yeah.
that's the sad thing. That's why the timing of our trip, I guess, was so special because I think it was our one chance to see everyone before
we can
things go to hell.
we can probably go to California, Oregon, Washington because they talked about becoming sanctuary states.
Yeah, but how can you
But
do
I don't
that?
know with border,
California is already a sanctuary state.
Yeah,
I just don't know with the border patrol how that works. That's the only thing.
There's really nothing there.
no,
Like especially from Canada,
there's nothing.
there's nothing in California. There's really no. I live in Southern California. I live maybe 30 minutes from the border. There's really nothing there.
Okay.
Border of Mexico, excuse me.
Or to Mexico. Okay.
There's they check the main border for the drives, but the whole facade of the walls being built, there's it goes for about 150 feet, and then there's another 150 feet of nothing there, and then 150 feet, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, it's it started being built, started being built. It'll never be secure for normal people to come through. Like
So
it,
we could probably come to the West Coast.
Yeah, easily. But the thing is, I don't see him
Well,
even with the power he has.
he
I don't
wants,
see him
no,
do anything.
I mean, like, first and
no.
foremost, he
Our
wants,
our president doesn't really have a whole lot of pull. There's other people who stop it, other people who endorse it, but like in California, it's pretty. I don't know about Oregon and Washington, but it's they put a big kibosh on a lot of stuff.
Good. We
And then driving between states, there's nobody
there's
checking
nothing.
any. Yeah, no, you just drive. You just go to
Yeah.
Arizona through Arizona. Nobody checks anything. But I mean, once again, it's if you're trying to go to the East Coast from California, it's just I don't know about flying. I do driving mostly. I don't travel by airplane. Not a big flying guy.
I don't blame you.
No,
I don't blame
no,
you.
Yeah.
I just it's one of
Having
those.
gone uh through 4 flights in, in 10 days.
It just he says he's going to do a lot of things. We have to wait and see what actually happens.
Yeah.
Because the last time he did an injunction, the Supreme Court
Overturned it.
reversed it, but now
Yeah.
the Supreme Court is loyal to him. So we'll see what happens. Ugh.
Yeah, but enforcing that, we don't have the power down here. We don't have the manpower to enforce a whole lot. It may sound like a
So,
lot, but America doesn't have their shit together. Sorry.
so there's only like
No matter no matter what
800,000.
side you're on, America doesn't have their shit together. Sorry.
So there's only like 800,000 law enforcement officers in the entire United States. We do not have the manpower to do mass deportations.
No.
It's all rhetoric. Um, it's like back in the day when he said that they were going to build the wall and that Mexico was going to pay for it.
Mm-mm.
That didn't happen.
Mexico went.
Yeah.
And Mexico actually has said that if they do start mass deporting people, that they will in turn
Send
deport
ours back.
the 2
Yep.
million Americans that are in Mexico.
Yeah, that's a big problem down in like the tourist towns in Mexico and Central Mexico or Central America,
Mm.
where they're like Bali and stuff like that. People are moving down there from the Americas and buying up land, and they're gentrifying it. You're putting Starbucks and shit down there. Why? It's like
Right.
why? Nobody wants to go down to Mexico to have a Starbucks.
No.
I can provide insight, I think, on this. So I am from a very small mountain town in East Tennessee. It is 30 miles from the interstate. Once upon a time, the trains ran through there. That's why there's um, anything there in the first place. US 27 goes right through it, but nobody takes that anymore. But it is next to the Big South Fork and National River and Recreation Area. It's right next to Daniel Boone National Forest. And because of that, you have a lot of influx of people that come here. They're like, oh my God, this place is beautiful. It's cheap. Yep. The cost of living, in California to here, what they can buy with their money. But then, and you'll see it in the groups, it'll be like, this is what Scott County needs. Scott County needs this. Scott County needs that.
Yep.
Scott County does this. And it's the same thing as the snowbirds who come down to Florida for the winter. It's they want to have all of their normal creature comforts that they're used to, and they don't take into appreciation that you moved to this area for a reason. You wanted to get away from all that.
But then they want it all there.
But now you're wanting it to become just like where you left.
Well, the main reason for that is when people move to another state. My family is originally from Ireland and Scotland. They immigrated over through Canada. Well, not the Scottish part, but my Irish side immigrated through Canada in like late 1890s. They immigrated through Canada, came down, they changed the last name to Canada, and they moved down to Tennessee. And then there was not a lot going on here. People were having a hard time, and they moved all the way to California to pick cotton.
Mhm.
And it was the big thing at the time. And they settled here, and then things got crazy. And then their generations later, those people moved into other places, and they move there, they buy cheap, and then they want to build up infrastructures to sell
Right.
high when they go someplace else. It's it's just awful stuff, you know. You
So
know,
what's
both
happening
my
with my mom is that somebody built a house next to us back in the early 90s. The house is worth about $70,000. It's similar in worth to what my mom's house is. Um, Somebody came from another state.
Mhm.
They were asking like almost 250,000 for it. So, and they
Jeez.
got it. They got it. And what's happened now is the the property tax folks now are going to
Mhm.
my mom and go, well, guess what? Your house is no longer worth 70,000. It's worth X amount, and now you've got to pay all these property taxes
Yep.
because Jackwagon next door bought it for three times what it was worth.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a horrible situation.
And so they're going to, what's going to end up happening is this is a very poverty stricken area. They're not going to be able to afford to live in their own county anymore.
No, that's the shame of it. See, what's nice is I hunkered down. Both my brothers moved to Tennessee. You know, to we have some family out there, but they were
Mhm.
able to during the housing boom in California when everything jacked up during the pandemic. We sold my parents' property that we're all three of us were. I have two older brothers. We were holding on to. Um, we sold it for way more than it was worth during the
Right.
pandemic because it was land was at people were sick of looking at their apartments where they're trapped in it, not going to work, or their houses. They were like, this is too small. This is that, and people
Right.
were paying top dollar. They left. I stayed because I'm hoping all the other idiots get out of California and drop the property. You know, but it's just California is just one of those things. It's not even the weather's not even that nice. You know, gas is horrible. They want to push all this stuff on us about you know getting electric cars when our infrastructure is 125 years old for electricity. Hasn't been updated since the late 70s, and they want everybody to charge their cars at night, drive to work. You know, it's there's other alternatives besides like electricity is a commodity that's rarer than land on the planet. You know what I mean? How we can create it. Either we create a lot of pollution or we don't have electricity. And there's other ways to it. We don't create electricity. Hydrogen is one of those things where we can do, or hybrid vehicles, not fully gas, not fully electric. We got to meet in the middle. And in California, they don't see that. They're penalizing anybody who has a gas vehicle or that uses petroleum.
Carbon tax.
Yeah, that it's ridiculous. Or if you want to buy a new car, if it's after 2021, it's going to cost you $780 something a year. And if you want a truck, no, screw that. You can't have a truck. It's classified as a commercial vehicle automatically, and you're paying, you know, thousands of dollars a year on registration. Where in Tennessee, it's like $80. Doesn't matter
Yep.
what year it is, nothing.
Yep.
And most vehicles today with the catalytic converters, I was an auto mechanic for years and years and years. Catalytic converters, almost every single vehicle on the road is a PZEV vehicle. It's partial zero emissions. It it blows my mind that people are like, oh well, this that. Yeah, well, we need to come up with something other than electricity because generating electricity, especially in California, when we shut down all the nuclear plants, oh, we don't have that anymore. We're buying electricity from other states that fill other people's pockets with money, and then they sell it at the same rate. as gasoline in California. When you buy an electric car in California, you're not saving any money. They're shutting down uh, home insurance if you have an electric car and you park it in your garage because so many catch fire because they're using lithium ion. Nickel cadmium is a much better renewable resource. It doesn't explode if it's exposed to oxygen. It's just Paul. Sorry.
No, it's okay. We're having a similar thing in BC. So, here in the Pacific Northwest, dams are actually considered, what are they called? Faux pas. Um,
Yeah.
so like Washington State's getting rid of dams.
So is Oregon too.
Yeah.
BC is pushing for electric cars, and there's this Site C dam, and it took like decades to build because they did it without asking the indigenous people, and it still
Ooh.
managed to be built, and now they want to build more. So the conservatives tried to get in to rip up the indigenous treaty, but thank God they didn't get in.
Good.
Very close.
And then, so this is the thing that annoys me, and this is why I will not get an electric car. So Canada was like, okay, we're gonna have this program to encourage gas stations to have electric charging vehicles. Great. Did they do something like every so many kilometers there should be a gas station or an electric station? Absolutely not. So you'll
Nope.
have like 20 electric charging vehicles in the city. You go 10, 15 kilometers out, and there's none.
Yeah, it's the infrastructure is not there. Before you enact a law which requires people to change their life, you have to have the infrastructure in place. That's why we pay taxes for stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we have in Escondido, there's like 5 charging stations. Today, I just told my wife today, I saw 2 people fighting, fist fighting over a charging station parking area where they can charge their Tesla. It's the only one around here. It's just like, but also with like electric vehicles, sorry if I'm going on this stupid rant. I
No,
apologize.
it's okay. Feel free to.
It's just they can literally they can shut off the electricity and nobody can get to like safe ground. You know what I mean? You can't get out of Dodge. You can't, go to higher ground if there's an emergency happening. It's a way of strangling people and charging you money for it. They're like, we're going to take away your freedom to get out of town, but we're also going to charge you a buttload to do it. It's not green energy. It's not. It's this whole facade of green energy. There's other ways to do it that are actually green.
Yes.
We actually 2034 there will no longer be in 2034 it will be federally mandated that you can't sell new gas vehicles in Canada.
That's in California too. It's 2035.
Yeah.
Yep. You will no longer be able to buy a new vehicle that's gas powered in California. In fact, they just, our wonderful Governor Newsom passed a bill without a vote stating that all recreational vehicles need to be electric by next year, like RVs.
What?
You can't drive them into California, they're banned.
Wait, but they're not even that good yet. Like they're terrible.
That's the whole reason they're a recreational vehicle. They're not on the road every day. They were meant for once, twice, three times a year. You go out to the desert to ride your dirt bike or whatever, or go cross country. Yeah, and most of them are diesel. And in California, they're strangling diesel so hard, especially with DEF. So DEF is diesel emission fuel or fluid, and it has to be pumped into the. It's not even a catalytic converter. It's pumped in there to make the soot that comes out dissipate. It's ammonia. It's pig pee. That's where they get it from.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't. It reduces the amount of black smoke you see, but it still releases burnt ammonia, which is also a hydrocarbon.
Yeah.
And when you do it every time you get a gas or an oil change on your diesel. And it costs like $50 every time you have to do it. And so all these big companies that are running, cross country and everything, they only have to do it in like 5 states, but it's mandatory. So if you bring a non-deaf vehicle in California, you have to pay a fine. It's and diesel is like extremely less. They release less hydrocarbons than gasoline. But with PZEV engines, which everything has now, I drive a three-cylinder Ford Bronco that produces almost zero emissions, but I still have to pay gross polluter tax because it's an SUV. It's the size of a Honda Civic. I
Gee,
get 37 miles to the gallon.
The thing that the second thing that I immediately think of is the national parks. Like, you can plug into your RV into some of the national parks, but you typically don't use that much electricity. But if the RVs are having to charge their battery as well as run the
Mm-hmm.
electricity, those parks are probably not built for that energy
Well,
increase.
there's no way to do it because you can't dig in a national park. You
No,
can't put new electricity into a national park. Like if you look at Yosemite, you can't dig anything anywhere without the federal government giving the okay because it's a national park. State parks are a little different. You go to a state park, good luck finding a gas station, good luck finding running water because it's a state park. You know what I mean? You're there to rough it. National parks are gemstones to get people from other countries to come to. You know what I mean? And as well, it should be. It should be bringing in money. It should be protected by all means. But when you look at the advances we have made with reducing lead in fuel, finding other additives for fuel, finding especially the invention of the catalytic converter, almost every single car on the road is a pure is a PZEV engine, partial zero emissions. It releases water vapor, but we do have the technology for hydrogen engines, and we've had it for I don't know 45 years. Honda used to make a Toyota used to make a hydrogen. Ford made a hydrogen, but nobody can make money off it because it's water vapor. You can't destroy the hydrogen molecule
yeah.
unless you create a hydrogen bomb. That's the only way to destroy. You know what I mean? It just turns into water vapor and can be recollected. Sorry.
no. Oh, oh, that was weird. It sounded like someone went off. I guess that means when we finally save up enough money to go to Redwoods National Park, it'll be cheaper because nobody will be going there anymore.
Possibly. And
That's insane.
It is. And
uh,
it's capitalism. It needs to go away.
yeah, when wh- okay, a company in Canada, they were doing stuff for the Hyperloop, and they just needed $1 million to go between two cities
It was
to test it out.
Calgary and the Calgary airport.
Yeah. Well, it's Calgary and Edmonton was the
Oh, okay.
original plan. Uh, Calgary to Edmonton, and it was predominantly going to be passengers because Calgary is a huge city, and a lot of people in Edmonton work in Calgary, and they travel back and forth every day, and so being able to cut down from 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours, but it's 4 hours a day, 4 to 5 hours a day. Uh, they could do it in like 10 minutes.
Wow.
So if you look at the shipping across Canada, it takes 2 weeks to go from the ports in Nova Scotia to Victoria.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hyperloop went bankrupt though.
Hyperloop went bankrupt. But if they had focused on the shipping conglomerates and get them to build the infrastructure,
I hate to say it, but if
it
they
would
had
work.
partnered with Amazon,
They probably would have.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
As much as I hate to say it,
You're 100% right. Like if you focused on the shipping part of it, not the commute,
Yeah,
like the shipping companies would be like, well, we save time, we save money, but everybody else can use it. They're not thinking about everybody else can use it, but they're thinking about
money and
how
time.
much they can save.
Well, considering it costs 500,000 and up for one rig, and that's a gas powered rig,
Yeah,
and they're trying to go away from that, and they're trying to get all of the truckers off the roads because we can't maintain our roads because the truckers are so heavy they're destroying the roads, and
yeah,
then blah blah blah. But if you took all of that money that's going into those roads and put it into a hyperloop situation, and then you had your little towny roads which people can take their electric cars on and whatnot, you could literally change the way the world
yeah.
works.
But nobody's going to make money off that.
no.
That's the thing. Eh,
You
our
need to obey your corporate masters, AJ.
Exactly. Exactly.
Once corporations became a citizen
Oh,
Yep.
with the same rights as you and I in America, it was all over.
Yep. 100%.
That said, I've got to go run our middle child's boyfriend at home. So I love you guys. Talk to you soon.
love you too. Take care, man.
Bye.
so this would be a good time to talk about the Parthian because we're gonna have
Yeah.
um so our last day we went to the Parthian and I have
Yep.
to say it was ostentatious.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very commercial. And well, we only paid $10, but
Mhm.
10 bucks. Yeah, it's worth it.
I mean, it is the size of the Parthian in Greece.
Yeah.
There's a giant Athena statue, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah,
Which
I
is
heard
about
about
it.
that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Is the statue inside a building or is it
Yeah.
just
yeah.
It's
exposed?
inside
Oh,
the
okay.
I mean, it is cool, but I don't know. I guess because we're more fascinated by caves and forests. So I was like,
eh, it was
Yeah.
eh. But Athena, the way the statue seemed, it seemed like like when you're a spectacle and you
Hmm.
know you're a spectacle, you kind of hate yourself and hate the world, and that's how
Yeah.
the place felt.
Oh, really? It
It
was very
felt
oppressive, kind of
yeah
like downer.
yeah.
I mean,
Ugh.
it was cool. It was.
The artwork
I
was
was more
cool.
interested in walking outside of the building.
Yeah, the outside of the building is beautiful. It's
Yeah.
start, it's starting to crumble a bit. The park that goes around it is cool too,
But it
but
was, but the
it's
park
very
was
commercial.
weird.
It's
The
very
park,
oh
the park
Did
was
they
southern.
yeah. Yeah.
Like,
did they ever I I know about the statue, but was there any reason why they built a statue of Athena, the largest statue ever of Athena,
because they could,
there?
because they could.
Oh, because it's just like, look how cool I am, kind of thing.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
when you walk around the park, there's like one plaque about there was a building that supported black inventions
Yeah.
and artwork and stuff. And I'm wondering if that was removed for the Parthian.
That's what it was. Yeah.
so okay, so they removed
We don't
thing
know
of
for sure because
It
it was so vague.
basically what happened in that area, like so many other areas, the black community became powerful.
yeah,
When the black community becomes powerful in a city, white people have to oppress it. And that's
yeah,
really what the Parthenon seemed to us.
yeah. That's what it sounded like when she said that. They had this little tiny plaque over in the corner that was for,
Yeah,
the African Americans in North America or in America
yeah,
did this awesome thing, but here's this giant
They do
Yeah.
have an art museum in there supporting some artists, so that was cool. We got to see a Japanese artist that did the art of, oh, what's it called? When they make these elaborate wooden
Wooden
um
designs.
designs. I can't remember
Yeah.
the name of it. So like it was
It
nice,
was
but
nice, but
I
not.
don't know.
It was just kind of at a place not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Like if you're going to build a temple to a goddess, build a temple to a goddess.
yeah, and
Don't make
Yeah,
a
exactly.
mockery of it.
there was very little mythological teaching in there. It was mostly
They
about
did
the people who built it.
that's like I said, it just seems so out of place.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially like when you think about Tennessee and they're very conservative and they're very
Very conservative.
Christian, and they have this giant Parthenon.
Yeah, which is a pagan
A pagan thing.
church.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, the one thing I got back from my dad moved out back out to Tennessee and going out there to visit him, it was a church. Like in California, we have a gas station on every corner. Like if there's an intersection,
Mm.
there's normally 3 to 4 gas stations. In Tennessee, it's churches. You drive down, there's another church. You drive down, there's another church, and it's like, how many friggin' varieties of Christianity are there? But you'll see like 5 Lutheran, 5. It's just like, is there that many people in this town? Because the town only has 8,000 people.
Hmm.
It's like, really? What gets me is when you drive through towns like that or states like that, and they have dry counties, but there's one place that sells
Mm.
alcohol because it was grandfathered in, and it has a parking lot bigger than a Walmart. Because everybody goes there.
Yep. Oh man.
And then we went to Opry Mills to go eat. Oh God, that was a nightmare.
What's Opry Mills?
It's the huge mall beside the Opryland house.
Like the
Upper.
Grand Ole Opry?
Yeah.
Yes,
Grand.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
We went to the aquarium restaurant, which was cool. But that mall was
The
awful.
mall was
Never doing that again.
okay. It's like Vegas in a mall.
Ew. Yeah, I'm already no.
We were gonna check out the wax museum, but it was $34.50 per person, so we passed on that.
Or a wax museum?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yeah,
And it's
no.
just celebrities.
No, if it was like cryptids,
Yeah.
I'd probably spend $50 to go to a wax museum for cryptids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See Flatwoods Monmouths, and the goblins and some Bigfoots. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah, so we didn't get a
Wait,
lot.
that's a good idea.
That is.
Yeah, there you
That
go.
is.
That's a new money.
Nobody in Southern California has any interest in UFOs,
Go to
Bigfoot.
Oregon. Go to Oregon.
Oregon, yeah, Oregon,
They have a
Washington.
whole town.
Where is where is that military base where they see all the UFOs? Isn't that in Southern California? Or am I getting my state mixed up?
You have Edwards Air Force Base. You have Camp Pendleton has actually 3 Bigfoot sightings that have been documented from the 70s, which is kind of crazy because it's like literally Camp Pendleton. It's huge. It's huge. People don't realize Camp Pendleton is huge. It's like one of the largest military bases, but not in infrastructure, just in land.
Land. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it goes all the way to you drive through it when you're going up the 5,
Mm.
the Interstate 5.
It's like New Brunswick.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
trying to
New
think.
Brunswick here and in and Petawawa.
Yeah.
Literally drive through the base and they say, do not get off the
Oh,
road.
God,
You're not
yeah.
allowed.
Yeah, there's no place to get off for Camp
Yeah.
Pendleton for like 15 miles. It's just there's no turnoffs.
Yeah.
there is military roads. Like if there's places to turn off and then get off, but it's not an actual freeway off ramp.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
where San Onofre is right in the middle of that whole section of the I-5.
yeah, I can't find it, but I know there was one beach that I've heard people call it UFO Beach, but I don't remember where it is in California.
I mean, there's the San Clemente Beach. There's a lot of there's all along Southern California. All the beach lines do have a lot of UFO. I mean, like the Nimmons was off of Southern California and Catalina, where the whole go fast video from what was that 2017
Mm.
from the New Yorker. Catalina Island. When I was a kid, my dad shared a boat with another guy, and they would go what they called in Oceanside, California. It was called the Mako tournament. So when the schools of tuna would go up the coast, I don't know if they're going up there to have babies or coming down the other way, but they used to migrate up and down the coast. And the Mako sharks would follow the schools of tuna because they were vulnerable because they're mating.
Yeah.
And they used to have the Mako tournament because it would cut down on predators uh, uh, attacking the tuna schools so you can fish the tunas further up north.
Yeah.
So they used to just let people go out there and fish to their heart's content for shark. And Mako is actually a really good shark to eat. It's very tasty. But my dad shared a boat with a guy. It was called the Ahi Ahi. And when I was younger, we used to go on that boat and we used to go on the west side of Catalina Island. And there was times where we would see lights under the water. But my dad used to always say it was, the algae bloom, the luminescent algae bloom, and dolphins swimming through it. So you see all these bright lights in the water. His buddy who owned the boat also, his name was Archie. This dude was crazy. He carried a lot of guns on the boat because he liked to shoot the seagulls. Because when they're casting out 15, 20, 30 poles in the water, the seagulls would come down and take if the bait would float up, they would come down and get caught. So he would come out and shoot a 38 pistol in the air to scare the seagulls away so they wouldn't come down and get caught in their hooks and stuff because the bird probably is not going to live after that. But we would we would see lights in the water, nothing in the sky, just lights in the water. But Archie used to say that he used to see stuff coming out of the water around Catalina, which
Cool.
I mean, it's a weird place. California is kind of a weird place. We have a lot of weird stuff here. Unfortunately, a lot of people in Southern California, which is like the middle of the state all the way down, is what they kind of categorize as Southern California. You have NorCal and SoCal. You don't
Yeah.
have Middle Cal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people south that consider themselves Southern California, out here, a lot of people don't. They're not into the paranormal or UFOs or nothing like that, which is a shame. I
Yep.
find myself alone sometimes.
That's
Well, and it's so weird because I just
why we need to do this more.
it's like
Yeah, exactly.
I looked it up because I was like, okay, well, where's the Sierra Mountains? And that's California. Then
Yeah.
you have Joshua Tree,
Yeah, Joshua Tree's a huge UFO hotspot. That's
and
where you had the Accelatron, where back in the 50s there's a place called Giant Rock out there. Back in the 50s, they used to go out there and have conventions. There's people, early UFO enthusiasts would go out there because UFOs would fly overhead and just stop and hover.
The
Joshua Tree is a weird place.
and then you for Joshua Tree, I always forget his first name because there's so many famous Parsons, but the artist,
Jack Parson.
yes,
Jack
Jack Parson and Jim Sullivan, both died in Joshua Tree. They don't actually know if Jim died, but he
Well,
just
that might be another Jack. Because Jack Parson was the creator of JPL Laboratories, Jet Propulsion Laboratories.
Yeah.
He was a Thelemite. He was a follower of Aleister Crowley. He knew Aleister Crowley
did he die?
personally.
in that area too?
No, he
Oh,
died
okay, I
in
was gonna say that would be
No,
really strange if both
no,
died in the same place.
Jack Parsons died in an explosion in his house in Pasadena, California.
yeah,
Let's see. I'm gonna look him up. Let's see. Parson.
Jack Parson, he personally summoned UFOs. He did rituals. He was best friends with L. Ron Hubbard.
yep,
Um, when L. Ron Hubbard wasn't making money, but Jack Parsons was, because he developed the first solid state rocket engine through asphalt. He watched them make asphalt one day when they were paving a road, and he got the idea because his rockets were blowing up. Mind you, this is a person who never passed the eighth grade. Jack Parsons was one of those people who had advanced knowledge just born into him. He would go out with his friends in the desert and light rockets when he was like 8 years old. They would build their own rockets. But the temperature involved to detonate the rocket before it would detonate from the heat of the rocket, it would like a protected layer was asphalt.
yeah.
I'm looking it up because I can't remember his name. Graham Parsons. So
Oh, Parsons.
yeah.
Yeah.
So him and Jim Sullivan both
Died.
died.
Did they?
Well, Jim Sullivan did.
Oh, that's the one, the Burning Man festival.
Yeah,
No, this was in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
There's the if you can stand watching Ghost Adventures, they go to Joshua
Oh,
Tree
yeah.
to the
No,
hotel where he passed away. I think he committed suicide.
they're assuming he committed suicide because
Yeah.
it's not really.
Suicide.
Yeah,
Yeah, he wanted to be a country singer, but
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about now.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Um
Sorry. I'm
no,
not a big fan of Ghost Adventures now, but I used to be.
I know, so do I, and I try to
I
watch.
still watch them, like the old ones, because they're just nostalgia now.
It's so depressing because like I just finished watching that new Disney one and it's like I have nothing to watch now.
The new Disney what?
outer realms or outer.
I'm gonna have to look it up now. It's really good. They do a good job.
It's one of the ones where
Disney.
someone who's in the know actually helped them make it.
Yeah, and
Oh, nice.
the first episode is such a really nice telling of Granger Taylor, our local UFO story. He disappeared and he wrote this letter about he was going with aliens, and they did such a good job of honoring him.
Oh, nice.
Let's see.
See
New
where we are.
Hmm.
It's funny. All of us in
Out there.
Liminal Lodge
It's called
out,
called
out there.
Out There Crimes of the Paranormal. It's on
Oh.
Disney Plus. So I don't know
Oh,
what.
okay. I have to check that out. I haven't seen it yet.
It's good. But each one of us in Liminal Lodge, we live in an area that's weird.
Right? Isn't that weird?
It like for us, the whole Aleister Crowley connection,
Hmm.
he came here before he went to Kentucky because he has
Yeah.
a cousin. He has a cousin here or had a cousin here in Victoria, and they had a
Oh,
plaque.
yeah. That's right. That's right.
So they had a plaque to him in our market square,
Which we never
which someone
found.
stole.
Yeah, we never found it.
Yeah,
I think it's gone.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
no,
Like
someone stole it.
Oh, did someone steal
Someone
it?
stole it.
Okay.
I would be tempted to steal it.
Yeah, but we
Nobody
have
replaced it.
no, they won't
Oh,
because
So
current powers are very
yeah.
into the woo.
our
Yeah.
mayor wants to turn the city into like a bougie tech capital. So it's one of those places, it's really boring to live here. You have to make your own fun.
Yeah.
That's why
That's how it is out here.
That's
I
why
think that's the entire West Coast.
yeah,
Everybody wants
yeah,
to reproduce Silicon Valley, and
yeah.
it's not going to happen. That was like a once in a lifetime You
Yeah,
know what I mean? We don't have technology. We're not going to get another jump like that for probably another 50 years.
probably not.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Well, maybe if the UFO, if the whole, did you guys catch? I cut bits and pieces of what people were saying about the whole disclosure uh, congressional hearing. I
Yeah,
didn't watch it fully, but I guess uh, they're admitting, or high-ranking naval officials are admitting that they have reversed engineered. And I'm like, the one thing I always think about was after the 47 crash in Roswell. That's like the start of the modern UFO fad. Around that time is when they started developing fiber optic and like pulse digital technology for aircraft.
yeah,
I mean, because if you look at the S-71 Blackbird, it's all controlled by fiber optic.
yeah.
We still use it today. It's how did a bunch of people in the desert figure that out?
It's true.
Yeah, like
Yeah. How?
Huh.
the thing is fiber optic is glass, right? And
Yeah,
it
it's glass tubes, very
Yeah,
thin glass tubes that transmit either light pulse or laser pulse, and each laser or light has information inside of it that controls something else. It's a pass through,
yeah.
yeah,
but
so
it's instantaneous.
you wouldn't think like it's not like when you're inventing the light bulb or something, it's not like, I wonder if this would conduct this. You'd be like,
Yeah,
it's wax, it's not a good conductor, and throw it away.
yeah, but it's perfect for the situation.
Situation.
But if you look back on like how they invented light bulb, people were like, "Well, I need light in my house. How can we not have a burning fire in my house?"
Yeah.
It was invented out of necessity. This is invented out of, I mean, it was invented for technical warfare. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Or technically warfare.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But they knew it came out of a flying craft. That's the only one thing where I'm like, hmm,
Well,
like where did we get that?
to give you perspective on the Canadian side of things,
Yeah.
in Nova Scotia, where I'm from, in Shag Bay, they had
Shag Harbor.
Shag Harbor. I call it Bay. Uh, because it's a bay. It's not. It's a harbor, but it's a bay.
Yeah.
Uh, so they had a crash there. Both, well, all three, the UK, the US, and Canadian forces all descended on the area and wouldn't let anyone in to investigate. And fishermen who were exposed to the fuel that was left off died of radiation poisoning.
And so I listened to the extraterrestrial podcast. They're skeptical, but they do amazing research.
Hmm.
And they talked to a guy who actually was there, and he's like, I went there and I didn't understand it because I'm an airplane expert. So I was like, okay, I'll come with you. And he's like, if I was there, it was not a submarine. I am a
Yeah.
UFO expert. And I believe a shipyard in Boston was shut down or locked down for security clearance shortly after the Shag Harbor incident. So it's pretty guaranteed that it wasn't a UFO, it was the Arrow project.
Average
Yeah. What date was that? I
19,
remember, I know the Shag Harbor incident, but I don't remember the date.
1959 is the beginning of the project.
Okay. Okay.
Look it up. Shag Harbor UFO. Do do do.
Is that the one where they saw the lights under the
October.
water?
It crashed down into the water and foam came up, and then all our
Okay.
fishermen, they're used to down aircraft, so they
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 descended to try and help save people.
Yeah. Yeah.
it was October 4th, 1967.
60. Okay. So it's even later than I thought it
Yeah.
was. Okay.
Now the Avro Arrow
Hmm.
was one of 5 projects. The Avro Arrow was top secret. All of
Yeah.
the other ones were above top secret, including uh a craft that was a flying saucer.
Oh,
So the Canadian military were told by the US military, you have to shut down this program or we're not going to work with you.
huh.
Mostly
Yeah.
the Avro engine was
Uh-huh.
so advanced, it was more advanced than anything the US or anyone else in the world had at that time.
And it was the first hovercraft.
And it was the first hovering craft.
Oh, yeah. I
Like
can understand why people would be scared of that.
they could literally take off from a standstill.
Which helicopters can do now.
Yeah, well, helicopters always could, but
No,
they
but
But
couldn't.
jets, there's a jet that can do that now. It's
The
its
F-18,
whole rear turret can go down and lift off without having to be slingshotted off the aircraft carrier. I
now
forgot,
the
Harrier jet? Is that a Harrier jet?
Harrier jet.
Yeah,
Now
okay.
the Avro had small jets on the bottom that would
Hmm.
lift it up and then it would fire its rear engines and fly off.
See, that to me sounds like technology we saw,
Yeah,
captured, and then try to duplicate because almost every single like legitimate UFO case where they see the UFO come up, and it's the circular UFOs
yeah,
come up, they shoot up. You know, you're thinking they're going to fly like this, and then once they get high enough, they turn like this and then disappear.
yeah.
Yep, they're just gone. We haven't figured that part out yet. That must have got destroyed in the
In the
crash.
crash. But this stuff, like the they didn't stop those projects after the
No.
US told them to. They continued working on them. That's where a lot of the Canadian tech comes from, is from those industries. Like
Yeah.
Velcro was uh uh in World War I was
Yeah.
was began because of a project like that.
Yeah. Same
So
thing with Skunk Works down here in the United States in Nevada. My uncle worked for Rockwell International, and they worked on the Apollo 11 mission. My uncle actually helped design the buggy they rode on the moon.
awesome.
Like that was his claim to fame. But we used to go to Wyoming because all my family at that time was living in California. We used to go to Wyoming every year, right? But they would always stay. My grandparents and my uncles, my aunts, and my dad, and my mom, all the kids. We would stop at Las Vegas. My uncle always wanted to stay at the Tropicana. He had connections there, so he'd get cheap rooms. Never understood that. My uncle used to always point out because he stayed on the back side of the one of the towers because there was two towers, but they look like one building, but
Yeah.
they're actually separated. You had to go into two separate entrances to the towers. And on the back side was the Las Vegas airport. And he used to point out the white jets with the red streak, and they were called Janet Airlines. Just another nondescript air,
Mhm.
um, which always I didn't think of anything like that. Like I didn't ever think of it stuff like that. But my uncle used to always tell me that they were going out to you know a military base because we he showed me one time when they were taking off and they're taking off one right after the other because they were sending people out to Area 51. Funny thing about that is my aunt on my mom's side actually dated uh, Bob Lazar's father.
Oh my
Isn't
god.
that a weird connection?
Mhm.
Like, just had no connection whatsoever. But when the whole thing with Bob Lazar went off in the late 80s, early 90s, I think it was like 89, 90, um, my aunt was like, I know his dad. He used to always say he was really weird because he had two houses next door to each other. He lived in one, and his first wife, and their, I think he had kids at that time, but she lived in the other house. Like he was that like eccentric.
Okay.
Like I don't know if he was hiding something or he just was like, yeah, I don't want to deal with you live in that house.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what we got from our trip was the opportunity to meet everyone.
And everyone
Yeah.
wants us to do a convention out west.
They want us to do a West
Oh yeah.
Coast one. Um, Now our friend Adam Towla, the Paranormal
Oh
Polynesian,
yeah, this is
if you've
cool.
not checked him out, check him out. Um, he has a connection to someone who owns a ranch adjacent to Skinwalker Ranch,
Oh wow.
who he is he said he could talk to him and see if he's willing to allow us to do a convention there.
Yeah,
So
that'd be interesting.
that would be interesting. Um, we also have all of our eastern coast of the island is a very weird place. Like we have
Well,
UFO sightings. We did
the
our
entire
It's weird
UFO.
that it's on the island is split.
Yeah,
well, the
yeah.
entire island is weird, but I would
The
I'm gonna
east
say
coast of it
I would
has the
say
most odd
UFOs.
UFOs and that.
want to say like 2/3 of the island is super rural.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
you are only getting there by float plane or boat. So I think that's why it is. But we have a I always forget his name, but we have a famous cryptozoologist who has passed in the last decade.
Oh,
We
that's John. Is it John Bindernagel?
yep,
I can't remember. I always
yep.
forget his name. Um
I think so.
he was from the island.
Oh,
And
it blurs it out.
yeah, I know.
Yes,
Well, anyways, I have like he's one of my favorite Bigfooters. Sorry.
So we have the phenomena of the swimming Sasquatch here.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Is that does that stem from the legend of the Otter Man?
I
it could
don't
The
be,
know.
natives?
could be, it could be.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, there's definitely stories of giant otters up north.
the okay. I got this book at the library. Weirdly, I walked up and it was Indigenous Women's Voice and was written by four. It was letters of four Indigenous women
Mhm.
back in the 1800s, and they were talking about stories that span all the way back to the 1600s about their
Oh wow.
families and whatnot. And in that they talk about the animal people that
Yeah.
existed before humanity, and they talk about that's where we get the story of Coyote, uh,
Hmm.
the deer lady, and all of that sort of stuff.
I have a synchronicity about that. So I was researching some of the folklore of the indigenous tribes in Arizona, and
Oh, can you guys hold on for 1 second? I gotta go take care of something. Hold on.
All right. Uh, this is fun.
mhm.
So we'll need to do this.
Well, we're gonna do a lot of Discord hangouts that aren't recorded.
Yeah.
So.
Just don't need that on. What happened to April? Probably just driving at a dead zone.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's all good.
So I found a synchronicity with Hellier. Um,
Mhm.
I was researching the indigenous folklore and they were talking about the worlds, like people came from a different world and there were several worlds.
Hmm.
And like one of the worlds, they were beastmen or something,
Mhm.
but they talked about insect people.
Yes.
And it reminded me of, I can't remember if it was Carl or Connor that got hypnotized and was talking to an insect.
Yep. A mantis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. There's oh, it escapes me right now, but they were located in Southwest Arizona. Their creation story, I want to say it's not the Hopi. It's darn it, it's the Hopi. Sorry, my wife's telling me I'm right.
Oh.
It's the Hopi. Um, in the Grand Canyon, when everything was falling apart on the Earth, these insect beings came up, put humans underground to save them, their tribe. And then when everything was good, they they brought them back out. And like in the Southwest here, we there is pictographs and petroglyphs of creatures with they're not antlers because they go off and they do like weird things off to the side, but they're not like antlers. You know what I mean? They could tell because also they're standing on two legs. So it's, but yeah, the ant that I think a lot of people call them the ant people. Yeah, that's those stories like that just fascinate me.
They're
Like,
they're awesome.
yeah.
But these ladies, they talk about how they could take the river all the way down to Louisiana.
Oh,
This is the Columbia River.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the
They would
Columbia
for
River, it wouldn't be the Columbia.
no, they would go down the Columbia and then they would branch off to different areas and they could find their way through the waterways. It was their highway.
Yeah. Well, if you
And
look at all like the mound structures back east, they were all next to a river.
yeah,
Like Iowa, the effigy mounds, the famous ones that were never destroyed because nobody ever lived there. Um, they're like there's this whole river thing system that's right next to it. And it was funny. Were you guys on the last live stream with you guys were on there with Penny Royal,
yeah,
Yeah.
where Nathan was talking about the mounds
Yeah.
yeah,
and they were looking at the LiDAR.
yeah.
There's this one
River,
yeah, that curlicute
Cumberland.
around. It's almost identical. I thought he was going to say it was the effigy mounds in Iowa, but then he was like, "No, it's in Kentucky." I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
It's
we have mounds here. I can't remember how to pronounce the name of the tribe. It starts with an H. So we have mounds here in BC.
Oh wow, yeah. We have one, two actually, uh, uh, geoglyphs in Southern California that it's just a man standing, and then another one is they think it could be a dog or a deer, and it's like in the middle of the Anza Borrego desert. It's just like it's just there. I mean, there's a huge fence around it now, but there's nothing to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west of it. It's just these two, and it's not a place that's there's no like underground aquifers.
okay.
Like there's no underground.
The thing is when certain tribes do vision quests, they will
Mm-hmm.
they will lay the lay a person out tied in the
Yeah,
desert until it's like a sweat lodge is here. Same
true. That
same
might be a signal for it because it's like 600 feet long.
yeah,
It's like a Nazca design, but it's here in Southern California.
cool.
I'm
You
look
can't see it from the ground. Did she find it?
I'm looking up because there was a really awful, horrible trail that went to California. I'm wondering, do. Yeah, it starts there.
Is it Anza Borrego or is it further north?
Awesome. Cool.
Okay, the Spanish colonies of California. Yeah, that doesn't help me. Where?
It's all over California.
That's
The Spanish
California.
came through here and did a lot of damage.
I don't know where it is in comparison to where you talked about, but El Camino del Diablo is
Yeah,
the indigenous road that went from Arizona to California.
yeah, that goes up and through LA. Like I mean that's why you have LA, uh Santa Barbara, stuff like that. That was the West Coast Trail of Tears. All if you follow the line of all the missions as the Spanish came through with the Catholic Church, they decimated the indigenous people through there. So that's like the West Coast, Southern California area's Trail of Tears, because it was horrible.
Oh, there's so much that we have to research.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Such a
it
rabbit.
never ends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you find one answer and it takes you to like 50 others.
Oh, here it is. It's called the Blythe Glyphs. It's Riverside. I'm sorry. It's a little further north of Anza Borrega. Blythe.
And it's
Just type
glyph?
in Blythe geoglyphs.
Yeah,
Oh, geoglyphs. There we go.
Yeah.
Geoglyphs.
there you go.
What did that take me to? That is. Oh, there we go. Okay, I got it.
You got the man, and then it looks like a dog or a deer.
Uh,
If you go to images, just images only.
oh, there we go. Okay. No, it wasn't in English, so I thought maybe it took me to
Oh,
a while. I was like, wait, what? Okay, I'm saving that. There we go.
yeah, and it's there's nothing
Nothing.
besides those two glyphs. There's nothing anywhere near it that they've ever found.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's makes
Yeah,
me
it's
wonder.
very interesting.
And it's just
And Blythe is like where that's at.
yeah,
There's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, National Wildlife Refuge. It's by Joshua Tree, which is a weird.
Yeah,
So maybe
yeah. I mean, it's one of those weird.
isn't Joshua Tree where there's like uh some kind of crystal like popping out of the ground?
Yes. Well, it happens a lot out here in Southern California. We do have deposits that run straight. Like if you look up, uh, give me a second here. Warner Springs, out in Warner Springs, California, there are huge deposits of crystals where people suspect that it's on like a smaller fault line because San Andreas runs all the way up,
yeah.
and they think it's an off split and it's pushing this quartz together, and that's why people are seeing lights out there. That's one of the main theories of Joshua Tree also is the shifting of the sand and the desert floor from the tectonic plates is creating piezoelectric effects above ground.
That's cool.
Like,
That's the
yeah, we have that all through here.
Gang
Like,
theory.
tree that I'm researching.
yeah, like if you look into like the Borrego Triangle, which encompasses Escondido, where I live, that's where on the far tip of it is uh oh, give me a second here. Uh Elfin Forest, that area out in Quest Haven, and they have the woman in white, they have, you know, tribes of Indians that were killed, but they found burials of them at the foothills where they were buried standing up. It's the only known
Oh wow.
archaeological site. Quest Haven is weird because a lot of people used to call it, when I was a kid, we used to go out there to explore because they said there was a mental asylum out there and it burned down and all these ghosts are out there. So we went out there. They had these wrought iron gates and spelled out in the wrought iron in cursive is Quest Haven. So we drove up there. And if you look through the gates, this was like in the mid 90s, it's like 94, 95. If you look through the gates, there was this glow, looked like a light. The gates were wrought iron gates that would just close like this, they would open like this. And
Yeah.
there was a chain I could get through it. So I got through it and walked up there. And there's like this lit kiosk with like push pin documents on it of like, have you seen this dog? Here's this going on. Turns out Quest Haven is like a religious retreat, non-denominational religious retreat.
Oh.
But if you look at Quest Haven from Google Maps, they have these labyrinth spirals that when you go there, you walk them, like to find inner peace and stuff and all that groovy stuff. But that's why a lot of people shunned it because these hippies moved out there, opened up this place, and a lot of people made up stories about it. But I found probably 18 or 19 articles from the San Diego Union Tribune talking about women in white. The sheriff of San Diego at the time in the late 80s had an encounter where he was driving down Quest Haven Road, which goes right into Elfin Forest. And he saw this woman in white walking, like he walking on the side of the road. He drove past her and he goes, I should see if she needs help. He was off duty at the time. Turned around and came back, drove all the way down to the main road, couldn't find her. Just disappeared. People have seen uh, groups of men on horses riding through in broad daylight. And as they ride through and as they get to the center of their vision, they just disappear.
Oh, that's
UFOs, ghosts, monsters, Bigfoot, all that is seen out there. And that's why I'm like, why isn't it in San Diego or in Southern California, San Diego County around here? Like this is a hot spot of weird stuff, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they're faced with the unknown, they freak out and
Yeah,
they want to deny
exactly.
it. And so a lot of the people in that area are denying what they see, and because they're denying what they see, a lot of bad shit happens because they are denying what is there.
Yeah,
And
they're not acknowledging it.
yeah, but as soon as you acknowledge it, that's when the real change and shift in your psyche and your relationship to it changes because it knows you see it.
Yeah,
It it starts saying, okay, you like this? Here's this. Here's that. And you start seeing all the weird bits that are around you, and your world suddenly opens up
yeah.
to a variety of thinking and being that the people that are steadfast, I'm normal, I don't see it, I don't know it, they get weirded out by that and they don't want to acknowledge it at all.
And some people get aggressive about it.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you tell them you're into something that's like Bigfoot or something, and they're like, Bigfoot doesn't exist, and you want to point a finger and yell, and you're like, whoa, chill out.
You know.
You know? Yeah, I think you're right though. I think like the phenomenon in general, because I don't think I used to be, you know, I was never into UFOs. I was into the X Files and the whole arc that they had because I
Yeah.
grew up when the X Files first came on. I caught the first episode and was hooked. But I was classifying ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, other thing, other thing, other thing. In the last couple of years, acknowledging that it's
One.
possibly all the same. Like it's something else reaching out to try to communicate with you for something, you know? And when I open myself up to that, we've had some weird stuff happen. Like even here at home, we've had weird stuff happen. We have a ghost cat, by the way.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, she before we even ever had our cat now, my wife
would see it.
was talking about seeing this little thing dart around the corner or feel it brush against our legs, and I started feeling it. Yeah, it's weird.
We
Animals like people that they know love animals,
Yeah,
and even as a spirit, they'll stick around.
yeah, it just feels safe. So we
Yeah,
just like we'll adopt you.
our cat comes and visits us, but I don't think he's here all the
he
time.
was here the other night.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ooh,
we were sitting on the couch watching uh
Um,
some show. I forget exactly, and I heard wow, like he would when he was trying to get our attention. And I looked around and it was like, okay, I heard you. And I didn't say anything to you because I didn't
No,
want to
it's
upset
hard.
you. It's hard for her.
And we have
See
a,
that? Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say we also have a house fairy as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I I share with you guys how we did a ritual for the Fae. We ever since we did that, we've had some interesting stuff. Like, I'm in the process of right now looking for a little chair for a house brownie so they could sit because I think that it might we call it a ghost cat, but I think it's something else. I think
Yeah.
it's something else. And I had a black lab for over 17 years. And when the first year I met well, it wasn't the first year because he passed away a couple years later. But when I met my wife, he had ended up passing away. And every now and then I'll hear him get up and shake his head like he needs to go out. And I'll get up and be like, I think a year after he had passed, I had woken up and my wife had told me, she was like, he's not here, go back to bed. Because I thought he had gotten up and shaking his head and wanted to go out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe that, like animal spirits are the same as our spirits, that like they'll stick around as long as needed.
Yeah. Well,
Um, but our house, so we blessed our house entire, well, our an apartment as a sanctuary to Cernanos.
Oh yeah.
So our whole house is like a sacred space. So we have had weird stuff outside our home. One day it sounded like something slapped the outside of our building.
yeah,
Like
and we're on the
like
third floor,
yeah, like a
and
large
it's just
Oh, okay. I'm on the first floor and I hear people slapping my building is because the kids are kicking a soccer ball against my wall.
yeah.
yeah, it sounds like a giant
Third floor.
smacked the thing, and we were so afraid that one of the hawks or eagles had like dove into.
Oh yeah.
We went out there, nothing, absolutely nothing.
And then we heard that buzzing that day.
Oh yeah,
We
that
were we
buzzing.
were meditating
Yeah, so
and we heard
Oh
we
yeah, I think you guys talked about this, didn't you?
yep.
yeah in the chat. So
Yeah.
we had just finished meditating and we worked at Whole Foods and we hated it, and so we were discussing whether or not to call in sick that day. And we heard this intense buzzing. So I poke my head out the window and I don't see anything, but then I hear the flapping of a wings and like a pigeon noise,
Yeah.
but there was no ledge nearby.
And then
Yeah, that's
but we also had a mated pair of owls fly up to our window and hover in the window looking in at us.
oh, that's something else. That's something trying to talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Nobody gets that. That's not something normal.
no. But uh that that said, in our back we have our garbage cans, our
Mhm.
compost and the bin that they take away the regular trash in. And I went out to take out the trash and I see this 9 foot tall entity rummaging through the compost.
Holy
And
crap.
it turned to me and had like glowing red eyes and growled at
Hmm.
me. And I went, "You son of a bitch, you're not gonna growl at me." And I stepped towards it, and it was like it jumped as if, "Holy shit, you're not scared of me," and jumped over the
Hmm.
fence and was gone.
So you physically saw it go over the fence. It didn't
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
shoot off.
No, it took
It did
one
like
step.
the climbing over a fence.
It took one step and leapt over a 6 foot fence
Oh wow.
and
Yeah,
was crashing through the woods behind the house.
that's cool. That's yeah, that's crazy.
So,
I'm all about the Bigfoot stuff.
but, but I also had an experience in the basement where the same thing was in the back room. So I
Yeah,
don't
see,
think it's not physical.
No, I don't think so. The past 20 years of me looking into it and the stuff I've collected, I have gone from flesh and blood to I think it can be flesh and blood, but I think it's more than that. I think it's something else.
Yeah,
I think it's still a Bigfoot. I don't
it's
think it's just
something.
an ape in the woods.
Yeah,
I have many arguments with the Bigfoot community about it, especially my audio when I sent it to the Olympic Project because of all the other weird stuff we had at that cabin. They're like, that's not involved. That's not involved. Do you want to know who was really interested in everything else that happened? Surprisingly enough, was Matt Moneymaker.
okay.
I sent him an email. Less than 20 minutes later, he called me on my phone because I gave him my telephone number. And I sent him one of the audio samples. And he calls me up, wants to know everything about it. And we were talking about like the area, and it, the audio to me doesn't sound like something that's just a big lumbering animal in the forest. It
No.
sounded more almost I hate to say it, but something more angelic.
Yeah,
Like it was calling out either getting rid of something, like stating its claim on something.
yeah,
When we heard it, the windows were vibrating because it's single pane. It's an old the cabin we were in was built in the mid 60s. And it was like the windows were when it was howling and it was started like harmonizing with each other above the coyotes was with that there's that point I think it starts at 17 seconds in the first one I sent you.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like ooh 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 and it like the very top of it the windows were like
The lower
and
register on that's what really intrigued me because that lower register is not something you hear in
no it
any animal that's out there.
yeah it's infrasound. It drops below it was registering infrasound on my audio program. Like there was a low point to where it's like I shouldn't like it.
You
Yeah, it was
have to
weird.
hear
It
it.
was weird. Matt was he told me that he's interested in it. He didn't want to put it. I was like, I don't want it on the BFRO. I just want to know what do you think about it? And he says in that area of Idlewild, there's a lot of legends with the natives that were originally there and the people who live there talking about uh, howling and screaming coming from that area. That's all he told me. And he also told me that I sent the audio off to another Bigfoot uh, group. I think it was the Kentucky Bigfoot thing, Society or Preservation or whatever. He told me to contact that guy and tell him to take it off his YouTube because he had it monetized on his YouTube page after I sent it to him and told him not to share this with anybody. I just wanted to know what they thought. And he immediately put it on there with my name. And I had to call the guy and I was like, well, I emailed him.
Shit.
No, I think I just emailed him. I didn't call him. I didn't get his phone number, but I told him, I said, hey, look, man, you need to take that off. And he was belligerent. And I was like, I didn't tell you you could use that for monetary gain. Like, that was the whole point. Like, I just want to know what's going on. If you want to use it for your own research, that's fine. Don't make money off of it. And don't use my, like, who just takes an email and uses a person's private information? You know what I mean?
That's shady.
Is
Yeah,
it
well, Matt told me that the guy used to be part of the BFRO, and he was Matt. He caught. I'll just put it simply. Matt probably it's just between me and you, but he said that it's the guy was caught like faking